Capital One's presentation of ESPN Bowl Week.
In the galaxy of college football, the Big Ten and the SEC reign among the quasars. Iowa's meteoric rise last season crashed with equal force during the Orange Bowl. For this season's foray into the Sunshine State, atonement rests on the shoulders of the diminutive and dynamic Fred Russell. Russell devastating and lacerating defenses with religious zeal. Meanwhile, the Gator Nation faced mutiny and insurrection after a 3-3 start. But the season bordering on disaster disappeared. Chris Leak, a precocious freshman, revived a reeling offense with poise and precision. Today, it's Iowa, the Gator Baiters, versus Florida, harassing the Hawkeyes. Next. Under sunny skies in Tampa, Florida, welcome everyone to the 18th edition of the Outback Bowl here at Raymond James Stadium. Out of the Big Ten, it's the Iowa Hawkeyes, ranked 12 in the country against the 17th ranked Florida Gators out of the SEC at 8-4. Florida, a team rife with pride and history, but still plenty to prove today. And the Hawkeyes out of the Big Ten, after a successful season last year, still looking to punctuate things here this afternoon. This kick is just seconds away. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones, along with Bob Davey, Holly Rowe down in the field. From all of us at ESPN to all of you at home, a happy new year, all the best in 2004. Now, Bob, Iowa comes in 9-3. They've been here since the 24th of December, but Florida, on the other hand, they came in the day after Christmas. They come in 8-4, and both teams have been showered with a lot of presents, a lot of gifts, trips to the beach, the amusement park, roller coasters. A lot to prove, though, today.
Well, Mark, both teams have enjoyed this trip, but make no mistake, there's one thing on their mind right now. That's winning a football game. The winner of today's game ends this season on a positive. The loser has to deal with the ramifications until next September when they play again. For Florida, this is their 11th straight January bowl game, and for them to get here today, it took a remarkable turnaround. After a disappointing 3-3 start, they were able to regroup, put together a 5-game winning streak before losing to Florida State. A win today is critical for Ron Zook and Florida to have a successful season and get the credit they deserve for bouncing back. Iowa, a year ago, they had a dream season, going 11-1, winning the Big Ten, and having the chance to play in the Orange Bowl. This year, even with the loss of some great players to the NFL and injuries, they are 9-3 and once again playing in January. After last year's disappointing loss to USC in the Orange Bowl, Kirk Ferentz changed his bowl preparation philosophy. This year, he kept the players together through Christmas and has had more physical and focused practices. Mark, we will find out in a minute if that plan has been successful.
Yeah, he has been canvassing his coaching fraternity for solutions and answers. Fred Russell, one of the stars of the game today. He'll figure prominently in the equation. Right now, let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe. Holly?
Guys, there is a shakeup into Florida's defensive starting lineups because of disciplinary reasons. The SEC Player of the Year, Kewan Ratliff, will not start today. He is being sat out because of team violations. He will play in this game. We're not sure when he will come in. Also, Gus Scott, a senior safety, also benched by Ron Zook for the start. In their place, there are two juniors. Corey Bailey comes in at strong safety, and Ronaldo Hill comes in for Kewan Ratliff. Both of those players practiced the last 2 days as if they were starters. We'll see how they hold up against Iowa's pass.
All right, Holly, yeah, it's been one of the trends here in Capital One Bowl Week and the bowl season. Some disciplinary issues across the board for some of the teams involved. Florida winning the toss, deciding to defer to the second half. Iowa will receive the opening kickoff. Now back deep to receive the kick, it's going to be Fred Russell and Jermel Lewis. There's a look at number 2. Fred Russell telling me before the game he remembers that C.J. Jones last year against USC ran back the opening kick in the Orange Bowl to put Iowa up 7-0. He's going to try and duplicate that feat here today. And we are underway in the Outback Bowl. Russell at the 16. And Russell brought down at the 27-9-yard return. Corey Bailey making the stop on the play. Nathan Chandler, 6'7" senior, is the starting quarterback for the Iowa Hawkeyes, a conference all-academic member, and he writes a lot of music. He's a pianist, actually, going to try and conduct a concerto today against the opposition. Fred Russell on the run back moments ago, over 1,200 yards rushing this season. First down and 10 for the Hawkeyes on the 27-yard line. Iowa has has been very proficient on offense over the last couple of years on their opening possessions. It's Fred Russell between the tackles. Russell. The deuce is on the loose early. Russell. And the Florida side of midfield, where he's tackled by Corey Bailey. Saw a gaping hole up front, courtesy of this offensive line led by Robert Gallery, the winner of the Outland Trophy.
Robert Gallery, Mark, you said it, the Outland Trophy, the best offensive lineman in the country, and an unbelievable NFL matchup today. Bobby McCray, the defensive end from Florida. They called Javon Curse the freak. After watching practice the other day, Mark, we had the same kind of accolades for this guy.
Great matchup, number 78 and number 57 right there. Gallery at 321 pounds with a bit of a size advantage. Jamel Lewis now in at tailback after that 25-yard pickup by Fred Russell. Three-receiver formation. Chandler on the play action. That's something that Iowa likes to use a lot. Went back to Mo Brown. He was covered by Travis Harris actually on the pressure. That'll be second down and 10 to go. Here's the Florida linebackers and a very talented group led by Channing Crowder, a redshirt freshman.
Mark, he gets the headlines, but Charlie Strong's, Florida's defensive coordinator, says Reed Fleming, the heart and soul of this defense. We look at this secondary. Keep in mind, Keywan Ratliff, 9 interceptions, not in the game at corner. Ronaldo Hill gets the start. But, Mark, I think we're going to see Keywan Ratliff and Gus Scott here sooner rather than later for Florida.
Not starting the game, as Holly Rowe mentioned a few moments ago, the result of disciplinary actions. There's a look at Ratliff. 9 picks this season. A Columbus, Ohio native playing his last game in a Florida uniform. Second down and 10. Here's the zone play. Lewis made a couple of tacklers miss, then stacked up right near the line of scrimmage at midfield. Marcus Thomas and Channing Crowder making the stop on the play. Ron Zook is the second-year head coach for the Florida Gators, former assistant coach at Ohio State and Virginia Tech. Still trying to silence his numerous critics. Coming in at 8-4. Kirk Ferentz, meanwhile, has orchestrated one of the best turnarounds in college football over the last 5 years. 5 years ago, this team was 1-10 with no ideas of going to a bowl game.
And Mark, 20-5 in the last 25 games. That says it all for the direction of this Iowa football program.
Third down and 12. Out of the backfield, Cervantes. Edgar Cervantes. The senior blocked down about a couple yards shy of the first down at the 40-yard line. Good tackle by Daryl Dixon, the top tackler on that Gator defense, the starting free safety. And David Bradley into punt, averaging over 40 yards per kick on the season. Obviously,
Kirk Ferentz playing the field position game here early, trying to put Florida's true freshman quarterback, Chris Leak, in a situation of coming off his own end zone, Mark.
Bradley with 15 kicks inside the 20 on the season. This one going a little bit long and strong into the end zone over the head of Vernell Brown. A 40-yard punt, nothing on the return, but just a 20-yard net. You may have heard of Chris Leak, the most highly heralded freshman in the country perhaps this year. And the subject of a very intense recruiting war last year between Iowa and Florida. Actually came down to Iowa or Florida. Finally, he decided on the Gators. Take a look at the backs and the receivers. Rand Carthen is one of 3 tailbacks that ran for over 500 yards for the Gators this year.
And Mark, for the first time since 1993, no Florida wide receiver on the first team All-SEC offense.
Here's the bubble screen, and it's incomplete, dropped by O.J. Small. That's a play that we're going to be seeing quite frequently this afternoon. The offensive line up front, a huge one. Max Starks, none bigger than him at 6'7", 349 pounds.
Mark, we've seen some big human beings this year. This guy may be the biggest. And Howard Hodges, number 48 from Iowa. That's an interesting matchup today between he and Max Starks.
Florida keeping the tempo relatively quick. The pass complete on the sidelines. They like to stress tempo. Kite with the catch. Here's the rest of the Iowa defensive front. 21 sacks between those two ends.
Those are 2 good defensive ends, Mark. A little bit undersized. But I think the strength of this Iowa defense are these three linebackers. They don't play much substitution defense. They keep the linebackers in there. Keep your eye on number 33, Bob Sanders. He will put a lick on you.
Florida looking at 3rd down and 5 on its opening series of the ball game. Leak out of the shotgun. Pass complete to Carlos Perez, the senior, out of the 33-yard line. Perez from the Dominican, great story.
You mentioned, Mark, Carlos Perez from the Dominican Republic came over here in the 7th grade. I had a chance to recruit him. Neither one of his parents, Mark, speak English. That was an interesting home visit going into that home.
A lot of love in that family, though, as you noted earlier. Perez learned to speak English by watching Sesame Street as a youngster. This is Faison. Finding a hole over the right side of that offensive line. Got a good block from Lance Butler. They've got Carthen, Deshaun Wynn, and Faison. That was his turn. You combine those numbers, Bob, wrap it into one tailback. It's pretty impressive.
Mark, you're right, and they all bring something a little bit different to the table. Faison reminds me of a wide receiver. We just saw him carry that football. He's a long strider, has the body type of a wide receiver.
1st down and 10.
And Mark, we look here early. What is even more remarkable about Chris Leak, the freshman quarterback? He operates in a no-huddle offense, and you see him orchestrating everything at the line of scrimmage. A remarkable story in college football this year.
True freshman, just 18 years old. Leak back to pass, completes it again to Perez. At the 43-yard line, he was working on Antoine Allen. Carlos Perez, the subject of a documentary back in the Dominican Republic done by his uncle, a sportscaster back there. They do weekly updates in the DR from Boca Chica.
Amazing, Mark. And I remember his dad wanted him to be a baseball player because baseball is so prevalent in the Dominican Republic. He's turned out to be a darn good football player for Florida.
On the option at the boundary, they run the ball. Faison brought down right at the line of scrimmage by Howard Hodges. Boy, this Florida offense, Bob, they don't wait long to get up there and snap the ball sometimes.
Like all no-huddle teams, Mark, they want to control the tempo. And don't underestimate the significance of this bright sunshine now on these Iowa Hawkeyes, even though they've been down here for about a week.
2nd down and about 9.5, 10 to go. Play, that's Carthen between the tackles. Ran Carthen, got about 3 yards. Jared Klaus making the stop. Carthen, the second of the troika of talented tailbacks, the son of Maurice Carthen, the 2-time Super Bowl champ that played for Bill Parcells with the New York Giants, and he is now the offensive coordinator with the Dallas Cowboys. Carthen said that he spoke with his dad frequently this week. His dad coaching him up on pass protection and catching the ball out of the backfield. 3rd down and 5 for the Gators. Take a look at that red line. That demarcates the line of scrimmage. Leak. Incomplete, intended for Kelvin Kite. And it's 4th down. So for both offenses, they're forced to punt on the respective opening series of the ball game. Although Florida did move the ball a little bit better than Iowa did. Now, Iowa has talked about trying to do some things in the kicking game. On special teams, Razor Ramon Ochoa.
Mark,
back deep.
One thing looking at the tapes, Florida blessed with exceptional athletes, but they don't do a great job of covering kicks. If Iowa can block the gunners or the wide receivers on Florida's punt team, they have a chance to get some return yardage.
Eric Wilbur standing on his own 45-yard line for the Gators to punt. Very healthy average of 44.8 per punt on the season. Herr Gossman is our man in the white hat today. Out of Centennial, Colorado, a teacher when he's not refereeing football games in the Mountain West Conference. It's a Mountain West crew we have today. Rich Hall is the umpire from Tucson, Arizona. 4th and 5. Ochoa watches it sail over his head and into the end zone. 38-yard punt, nothing on the return. Timeout on the field under sunny skies. And when we come back, Bob Davie going to break down Football 101 this week. Iowa's play action. More after this. Welcome back, everyone, to balmy and sunny Tampa, Florida. Happy New Year. All of us at ESPN, to all of you at home, a look at our AOL rushing matchup. Fred Russell has been an integral part of Iowa's offense for the last couple of years, and Florida's front seven, Bob, all first-year starters.
Mark, 2 freshmen inside at defensive tackle, and really remarkable, they lost their entire front seven. That means their defensive line and linebackers from last year. So this is an entire new front. You saw in the graphic, they're 8th in the SEC and rushing defense. But keep in mind, they've played against some darn good running backs this year.
You got that. First down and 10 from the 20-yard line. Iowa's second possession of the game. Fred Russell bouncing it outside. If they can run the ball, it'll set up their play action. Fred Russell, the senior, listed at 5'9", but you can see a huge height discrepancy when he's especially behind 6'7" Robert Gallery.
Mark, he's a remarkable guy. I mean, you get a chance to look at him in that huddle right there, but he's healthy this year. He took care of himself in the offseason after having some injuries last year. He has 261 carries. The next running back on this team only has 34. So we're being generous there saying 5'8" now.
Very durable at his size. Play fake. Chandler under heat, and Mo Brown makes the catch at the 37-yard line. Great play action, and for more on that, here's Bob Davie in Football 101.
Running teams like Iowa get their big plays off of play-action passes. First, they run them on running downs out of running formations. Here with 2 tight ends in the game. The play-action fake freezes the safeties and forces them to play run first. This leaves the corners on their own to defend the middle of the football field. Good wide receivers will win this matchup every time.
Here we go on first down and 10 for the Hawkeyes. Brown in motion. They run it. This is Lewis in the ball game for Russell. And Lewis is stocked up just over the 35 at the 37-yard line by Torian Charles.
Mark, one thing I noticed early in this football game, Iowa a zone blocking team, which means linemen work in combination with one another. Tough to get penetration against zone blocking, but Florida so far in this football game is really attacking up front. Great speed on the defensive line and explosiveness for Florida. I mean, they are getting up the field right now in Iowa.
Saw a little bit of that in the Auburn-Wisconsin matchup up front. And speaking of which, the Big Ten has to get it cranked up a little bit. Not too successful so far in the bowl season.
Don't panic just yet, Mark. During the regular season, they always say people remember November. Bowl season, they remember these January 1st bowl games. So there's a lot of ball left for the Big Ten. But right there, I think I jinxed
right.
Mo Brown.
Mo Brown had it go through his hands. You don't see that happen too often. Brown finally healthy after being injured a lot of the season. Be third down and 9.
Iowa has to get big plays in the passing game. Uncharacteristic of Mo Brown. You mentioned it, Mark, injured 5 games this year with an ankle. He has spent the entire season in that training room. And people don't understand how frustrating that can be for players like Maurice Brown.
From about 3.5 hours away down Interstate 75 in Fort Lauderdale. Got friends and family at this game. Third down and 9 for the Hawkeyes. Chandler brought down to the 31-yard line by Bobby McCray. 9.5 sacks on the season now for McCray. He can be a dominant force up front for the Gators today.
We're going to get a chance right here to look at Bobby McCray at the top. Actually, a twist stunt. He comes inside, and Mark, we talked about him early. This guy is 6'6", 245, benches over 500 pounds. Matched on Robert Gallery today, the Outland Trophy winner, but that time it was a twist stunt, and Iowa didn't pick it up schematically.
Well, not an easy guy to bring down most times either. Here's Bradley with his second punt, and it's a good one. A spiral back to the 21. On the move, it's Vernell Brown again. A 48-yard punt. 7 on the return, and Timeout on the field. Chris Leak getting ready to take the reins of the offense, and they do a great job of screening. Bob will tell you more in Football 101 after
this. ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2004 Outback Bowl, presented by Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right. And in part by the next Ford F-150, 2004 Motor Trend Truck of the Year, and Siemens Global Network of Innovation.
Back at a sold-out Raymond James Stadium for the Outback Bowl. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe. Zeros on the scoreboard. Florida with its second possession of the ball game. Play fake by Chris Leak going up top. Has a man wide open. Tight. Touchdown, Florida. 70 yards. For Kelvin Kite, the third touchdown catch of the season, the sixth of his career. One of the 22 seniors playing his final game here today for the Gators. And Matt Leach comes in for the extra point.
Mark, do you think Football 101 should have been Florida's play-action pass?
Good point. Chris Leak, poised beyond his years. He hit Kelvin Kite right in stride, and youth being served here in Tampa today. Back after this. That 70-yard touchdown toss by freshman Chris Leak, an Outback Bowl record, breaking the record of Heath Schuler of Tennessee back in 1993. And Kelvin Kite was at the other end of it. That one kind of takes the winds out of your sails if you're Iowa. There's Fred Russell. Russell doing a nice job on special teams since running back kicks 2 games ago. One more look at that touchdown strike.
Mark, in Football 101, we talked about play action, freezing the strong safety, and I wanted you to watch Bob Sanders right now, who bites and has to respect the play action, and then Kite will get in behind Bob Sanders, who is playing quarters coverage and responsible for the deep inside corners of the field. Right there, Bob Sanders just turns, tries to recover, but no chance. You have to be careful with safeties to the open inside or split inside, Mark, sucking up on that run fake, and the receiver's getting in behind him.
Pass intended for Mo Brown on 1st and 10, Bob. Incomplete. Now, what does it do for Iowa should they fall behind a team like Florida? Iowa, not a quick strike team in the passing game especially, Bob?
Mark, you're exactly right. Iowa, and Kirk Ferentz will be the first one to tell you this, is not an extremely explosive football team. They are a running football team that gets big chunks off play action. Uncharacteristic of an Iowa team, Mark, to see them give up a big play like that defensively. But there won't be any panic in Kirk Ferentz and his staff.
On 2nd down and 10, Brown in motion. Handed off to Fred Russell. Got a gaping hole. Russell into the secondary. Down to the 34-yard line, finally tackled by Corey Bailey. And Fred Russell strikes back for the Hawkeye Nation. A 28-yard gain.
Trying to find a 5'7" running back like Freddie Russell is difficult, but right here, Mark, I've jogged with you. You're not the fastest guy in the world. You could have run through that hole. Excellent open field disruption by Corey Bailey, the strong safety, to slow Fred Russell down.
Look at Russell just dancing between those tackles. Brought down by Mike Fleming. Speaking of that Gator defense, remember that Gus Scott, usually the starting strong safety, and Kewan Ratliff, number 1, with 9 interceptions, did not start in this game for violations of unspecified team rules. Bailey's still out there in Scott's place at strong safety.
one of the big goals in your preparation plan if you're a head football coach, get all your best players, Mark, to the game. With academic problems, disciplinary problems, NFL and agents talking to older players, get all your players to the field.
Here's the jailbreak screen by Iowa down to the 25, Mo Brown. And for more on that developing Florida story, here's Holly.
Hey guys, well, to their credit, the guys who were not starting today, Kewan Ratliff and Gus Scott, are over on the sideline. They're standing right behind the defensive coach who is signaling in the plays. They're trying to stay in this game mentally and see what defenses are being called, so they're not out of it. They haven't been sulking or sitting on the bench or anything. They're right up with their helmets in hand, ready to go in if their number's called.
Ratliff out of Columbus, Ohio, Holly. His dad, Charles, played at FAMU in Tallahassee. 3rd down and short. And they got the first down. Chandler keeps it himself, crossing the 25 to the 24-yard line. Nathan Chandler, some people might feel a little bit nondescript, but certainly not easy stepping in the large footsteps of Brad Banks, his predecessor, who was the Heisman Trophy runner-up last season and had a spectacular year, Bob.
And also, Mark, the difference, the contrast between Chandler and Brad Banks. Brad Banks, flashy, could do a lot of things with his legs, a flashy style player that people love watching. Chandler, more of a true, big, strong, drop-back type quarterback.
Jamel Lewis on the handoff. Iowa gashing that Gator front. And another first down, a good block up front by the Outland Trophy winner, Robert Gallery. And it's 1st and goal to go. 16 yards on that one.
We mentioned earlier, there won't be any panic in Kirk Ferentz and this offensive coaching staff, Mark. You can gain a lot of yards quickly with explosive running backs like Jamel Lewis and Freddie Russell. So great response right here to Iowa coming back from that big play they gave up defensively.
First down and goal to go for the Hawkeyes. Russell stopped on a dime. Down to the 3-yard line. Great change of direction by Freddie Russell, for most of the season a Doak Walker candidate.
Mark, he reminds me like when you have a balloon and you let the air out of it, that thing may go anywhere. Watch him right here and just dart backside and then get north and south. You see how difficult it is from that perspective for those linebackers, first of all, to find him behind those big offensive linemen.
2nd down and goal. Iowa pretty proficient inside the red zone. Play fake. The throwback incomplete for the tight end, Tony Jackson. It'll be 3rd down and goal. Good pressure up front by Darrell Dixon. Now it'll be 3rd down and goal.
Mark, I love play action passes, but the difficult thing is to protect the quarterback. That's the 2nd time today that we've seen Charlie Strong, Florida's defensive coordinator, have a great call, the corner blitz against the play action pass.
Here they spread the field with 4 receivers, the 9th play of the Iowa drive. Mo Brown in motion. Touchdown, Mo Brown.
One of the oldest plays in football, Mark. You bring the wide receiver across in motion, then run him to the flat. The other 2 receivers clear out. You're going to see Mo Brown come underneath right now. No question, it was a pick play. But it wasn't called, and that's a touchdown for Iowa. Great drive right there, answering the challenge from Florida.
Certainly important for them to answer. The extra point is good. Mo Brown with his 4th touchdown reception of the season, the 15th of his career. Back with more from the Outback Bowl. A couple of 7s on the scoreboard here in Tampa, Florida for the 18th Outback Bowl. Iowa was with a very impressive scoring drive, 9 plays using 3:22 on the clock. And important for them to answer the quick strike 70-yard blast by Florida. Andre Caldwell slips at the 10. Let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, we are here with the chairman of Outback Steakhouse, Paul Avery. And Paul, tell us, why is it important for Outback to be involved in this bowl game?
Oh, it's a wonderful opportunity for us to showcase the beautiful city here of Tampa and to have an opportunity to thank all our Outbackers for all they do throughout the year to make these kind of things possible, and to thank our customers for their patronage. We certainly don't take it for granted, and we appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Outback Bowl people have done a wonderful job making us feel at home as well. 1st down and 10 for Chris Lee. There's the bubble screen to Carlos Perez. Gains about 7 on 1st down and 10. Let's go to the bubble screen on Football 101.
You have a true freshman quarterback like Chris Leak. One way to take the pressure off him is to throw a lot of screen passes. Florida's favorite is the bubble screen to the 3 wide receiver side. What makes this play so successful is that the 3rd wide receiver is actually Ben Troop, a 255-pound tight end. This is key because he is the lead blocker and creates a mismatch versus smaller defensive backs in the open field.
And back to the action out to the 22. It's Ran Carthen. Carthen, the 5'11 senior, a guy who waited a long time, waited 4 years to finally become the starter and quote-unquote the main man, and now finds himself splitting time with Deshaun Wynn and Seatric Faison.
Mark, and you have to love his unselfish attitude. You said it exactly right. I mean, this guy sat behind some great running backs, waited his turn. Now there's some young running backs that he's sharing time with, but I think when your dad's a coach, you learn some of those values of being unselfish and being patient.
1st down and 10, the draw play. And it's Carthen again, and stopped up front by Chad Greenway, the leading tackler in the Big Ten, and Tyler Lupke. Greenway, an interesting story, a sophomore, as I mentioned, the top tackler in the conference. He's blocked a punt this year, does a great job on special teams from a big farm, actually, in Iowa. Actually, North Dakota, pardon me. 2nd down and 9.
Mark, this is a true freshman quarterback once again orchestrating this spread, no-huddle offense.
Leak kind of hesitated before he let it go, intended for Dallas Baker, and the ball's harmlessly incomplete. Well, Capital One Bowl Week continues tomorrow on ESPN at 4:30 Eastern with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Clemson facing Casey Clausen in number 7 Tennessee. The Volunteers finished the season tied for 1st in the SEC. Coverage beginning with a College Game Day Bowl special at 3:30 Eastern time. Going to be a lot of orange on the field in that game. Chris Leak, 5 of 8 so far passing for 100 yards.
Mark, Ben Troop right here, number 84, the tight end, 255 pounds, flexed out for Florida.
Leak forced to run, and he can do it well. Tackled near the 30 by Abdul Hodge. And that is very close to the 1st down marker. Depending on the spot, it seems as if he's about a yard or so short.
Chris Leak, Mark, you're right. We saw him yesterday in practice. Great lower body strength, a great looking athlete. But watch the closing speed right there by Abdul Hodge. Abdul Hodge, Mark, accelerated and forced Florida to punt this football.
2nd punt of the day by Wilbur. Driving Ochoa back to the 9. Ramon Ochoa. A wonderful special teams player. Somebody lost their hat down there at the 28. A 61-yard punt by Wilbur, and a nice return by Ochoa. Well, the last meeting between these two teams a while ago, 83. And Neil Anderson of the Florida Gators took it in for the score, the decisive blow, as Hayden Fry's team lost that one 14-6. Both teams combined for 6 interceptions in that game and 19 penalties and only 7 for 31 on 3rd down. So not an offensive display. I think we'll have a different tenor in this game this afternoon. 1st and 10, Jermel Lewis is the deep back. Mo Brown's in motion. Chandler audibling at the line. The senior gets him into a good play. But a better play made on the end by number 31, Johnny Lamar, the starting corner.
Mark, how about Johnny Lamar? A walk-on. He had 2 scholarship offers, Eastern Illinois and Troy State. Comes to Florida. He's going to be paying back those student loans, from what I understand, for the next 20 years. But now here he is, starting in a January bowl game. That's a great story right there. Started all 12 games this year for Florida.
He'll be able to tell his family and his kids about that kind of stuff. 2nd down and 11. Here's the zone play, Freddie Russell. Trying to get to the edge. And rocked out of bounds by Demetrius Webb. Webb has been on a lot of plays so far defensively for Florida. It'll be 3rd down and long to go for the Iowa Hawkeyes, who so far have run the ball pretty well, Bomb. On that last drive especially, they mixed it up pretty well.
They did, Mark, and you and I had a chance to watch both of these teams practice. And you learn so much from seeing these teams practice and seeing them in person. The contrast between these 2 teams, though, is remarkable. Florida, an explosive, talented football team. Iowa, not as explosive, but extremely well coached and solid.
That red line is our line of scrimmage. On 3rd down, complete to Ed Hinkle, who's been relatively conspicuous by his silence for most of the season, but making a little noise here today. Pushed out of bounds by Johnny Lamar, an 18-yard pickup.
Mark, a little earlier, Florida hurt Iowa with the twist stunt. Here, Iowa will pick the twist stunt up, give Chandler great time to step up in the pocket and throw. And Ed Hinkle back healthy. Only his 8th catch on the season, Mark. Last year he had 22 catches. He's been hurt all year, but Iowa, for the first time all year, at full strength for this game.
Got all their horses ready. 1st down and 10 near midfield at the 49. Play action pass, complete to a wide open Brown. Mo Brown, Mo Betta, down to the 35, and another 1st down for the Hawkeyes. Corey Bailey made the stop for Florida.
Mark, I mentioned earlier, if you can protect for the quarterback in play action, it's almost impossible to defend. Right here you see Chandler on the boot. Mo Brown comes back out to the flat. It takes so long for this play to develop. That's why protection's a problem. But Mo Brown again bouncing back, Mark, from that early drop he had in this football game. Iowa able to run the football, sets up the play action pass.
And Nathan Chandler, through his numbers, forcing the spotlight on him, making people recognize after that 17-yard pickup. Hawkeyes calling the first timeout, the first timeout of the ball game. And for more on the way that Kirk Ferentz has prepared his team, let's go to Holly.
Well, guys, defensive coordinator Norm Parker from Iowa told us that last year they were so busy patting themselves on the back for their great season that USC was busy kicking their butt. So they revamped their focus in preparation for this game. Kirk Ferentz had each one of his assistants contact another college and ask them how they prepare for bowl games. So in July, Ferentz sat down and put together a schedule for all of the 7 bowls they could potentially play in. He had it all mapped out. They have been so focused and so intense that they even had the same field painted over at their practice facility that you see here in Buccaneer Stadium with the pro numbers on it. He wanted his kids to be prepared for every aspect of the game, including play more physical. They pride themselves on being the most physical team in the Big Ten. They wanted to show the nation that they're more than what they showed last year against USC.
And Mark, we talk about contrasts in these programs as we look at Iowa Hawkeye history. It even goes down to the bowl preparations. Kirk Ferentz kept his football team through Christmas. In other words, his team did not depart and go home for Christmas. They didn't have any time off. Ron Zook, on the other hand, he let Florida's players go home for Christmas. They had about 4 days off, so even their preparation plan is different. But what happens? We mentioned in the open, how you finish the season is so important. Iowa learned last year in the Orange Bowl, Mark, you have to finish the season up and put a period on it for it to be successful. Winning today is critical for both these teams.
And Kewan Ratliff back on the field for Florida for the first time. Did not start because of violations of unspecified team rules. He and Gus Scott Well, Saturday at noon Eastern, Capital One Bowl Week concludes on ESPN. Georgia Tech from the ACC facing Tulsa from the WAC. Hey, what about what the WAC conference is doing? The Golden Hurricanes won only 2 games in the last 2 seasons. This will be their first bowl appearance since 1991. It's the Humanitarian Bowl. Georgia Tech versus Tulsa. And let's look at Gus Scott. He's starting strong safety. He did not start today.
And Mark, he had started 23 straight games, so you know how devastating it was for him to not start his 24th straight game.
Jermel Lewis brought down by Ray McDonald, and that might be the last play of the first period. That was Fred Russell tackled. Contrasting styles by both teams. Florida attacking aerially. A 70-yard throw and catch. That's right, in the air, just like those Jets. Not a Harrier, it's a leak. And Iowa doing it by mixing it up. We'll be right back with the second period. Welcome back. Aerial coverage for today's Outback Bowl is courtesy of the Outback Steakhouse Airship Bloomin' Onion 1. The Outback Steakhouse Airship specializing in college football and PJ golf coverage. Look for the Bloomin' Onion at sporting events throughout 2004. Bob, I thought Bloomin' Onion was what we were eating at halftime.
Well, you make so many connections during the bowl week. No telling. They may serve it up.
I'm on that beef, baby.
I know that. Mark, what a well-played game for a bowl game. No turnovers, no penalties in the first quarter. Remarkable considering how long these teams have been off since playing.
And Iowa obviously a lot sharper than they were a season ago when they lost at the Orange Bowl. Chandler out of the shotgun. And he's tackled at the 30-yard line, 5 yards short of the first down by McDonald and Harris. Let's take a look at our Outback game track. Some of the cogent points so far. Kelvin Kite with a record reception from Chris Lee. 70 yards in all. That made it 7-0 for the Gators. But on the ensuing offensive drive, Mo Brown with a touchdown catch, and we are knotted at 7 apiece. Nate Kading now in to attempt a field goal. This one's going to come from about 47.5 yards out. Kading, an outstanding place kicker, 17 of 18 on the year. And he has been perhaps the most consistent kicker in the nation over the last 2 seasons. Like I said, his signature is consistency. Nate Kading, the senior, knocks it through from 47, giving the Hawkeyes a 3-point lead with 14:09 to go in the first half. A guy whose stock has risen considerably for the last couple of years gives his team the lead. Welcome back, everyone, to Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. Nate Kading giving his team a 3-point lead moments ago. Kading has forced touchbacks on 55% of his kickoffs this year. And back deep, it's going to be Jamel Cornelius and Andre Caldwell for the Gators. That's Cornelius. And he'll take a knee. Bob, we've been through Iowa City several times over the last couple of years, and from South Dubuque and the Ped Mall all the way down to Tampa, it's 1,319 miles.
And Mark, maybe one of the best kept secrets in college football, Iowa, but we talk about contrasts. How about the contrast between Iowa City, Iowa today and Gainesville, Florida? More importantly, Tampa, Florida. It's a bright, sunny day. I promise you, it is really bright and sunny for these guys from Iowa, because you've been to Iowa City doing those basketball games in December and January.
Holly Rowe talked about they painted the field of an Iowa. I'm sure it wasn't looking as good as this one here. This is Deshaun Wynn with his first carry of the ball game, and this almost like a home game, you would say, for the Florida Gators. Gainesville just 133 miles away.
And Mark, you bring up a great point, and Florida played in this game a year ago. So there's 2 ways to look at that scenario. Familiarity, staying at the same hotel, practicing at the same place, same routine. Is that good, or is it bad because players are used to it and not as excited? In the end, I guess we'll find out. Iowa here for the first time, but a focused football team.
Trying to set up the screen, Bob, is Chris Leak, and it's broken up. Intended for Deshaun Wynn. Matt Roth breaking it up. Matt Roth, described a lunatic by some of his own players and teammates.
You're right, Mark. This guy plays with high energy. The fans here want pass interference. But you are allowed to tackle the receiver if the ball is thrown behind the line of scrimmage. And Matt Roth, totally within the rules that time to disrupt that screen pass.
3rd down and 10 for the Gators. Trying to respond after that Iowa field goal in their score. Leak completes it to Deshaun Wynn, who falls down 7 yards short of the first down at the 23. Brought down there by Grant Steen. And it's 3 and out for the Gator offense. Outside of that one long strike by the Florida offense, Bob, they've been a little bit spotty moving the ball.
And Mark, playing against Iowa's defense, they played against some great defenses in the SEC, but watching those tapes yesterday, SEC defenses up the field, blitzing, man-to-man coverage. Iowa is going to make you be patient, play a lot of zone coverage.
And Wilbur, Bob, gets it off under heat. Ochoa fielded it off the back of one of his teammates, and Ramon Ochoa is tackled at the 47-yard line. A 7-yard return on a 36-yard punt. And coming up, we'll look at Mel Kiper's draft board. We'll see where Iowa's Robert Gallery and Ben Troop are listed. More after this. This is the best starting field position of the day for the Iowa Hawkeyes at their own 47-yard line. And we talked about Mel Kiper Jr.'s big board. Robert Gallery, number 4. Ben Troop, the tight end, number 7. Among the seniors listed.
First of all, Mark, how impressive is Mel Kiper? You talk about knowledge about NFL college potential draft picks. Mel Kiper is the best.
Robert Gallery holding it down on the left side of that offensive line for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Play action fake. Hinkle. Complete. Great execution once again down to the 35. And he was working on the All-American, Kewan Ratliff. 1st and 10, Iowa.
A little different wrinkle to the play action, Mark. This time they start the play action to the strong side, and you're going to see Nathan Chandler throw back opposite the flow to Ed Hinkle on a crossing route. Difficult for even a great corner like Kewan Ratliff to cover someone with that much grass to the inside of the football field to defend.
1st down and 10. Jamel Lewis trying to cut it back and then goes north-south, plowing forward down to the 30-yard line. Harris making the stop on the play. Well, you see the surge up front on the offensive line led by most times that guy, number 78. Gallery awarded the nation's top interior lineman. He was the 3rd Iowa player to win the Outland Trophy, the first Hawkeye since Alex Karras did it in 1957.
And Mark, what a statement for Iowa's program to have an Outland Trophy winner. You know what? There's some young guys sitting there today out there in Iowa or Nebraska saying, you know what? Someday I'm going to go to Iowa and win the Outland Trophy like Robert Gallery and wear my hair long and wear those earrings like that too.
His dad doesn't mind. That's what he says. Here's Jamel Lewis. Couldn't get to the edge. Pushed out of bounds at the 30-yard line by Fleming. For more on Gallery, let's go to Holly.
Well, guys, I had a chance to talk to Robert Gallery's mom about his outfit for that Outland Trophy presentation. She said they had to special order weeks in advance because they just don't make suits for a man that big. I also asked her about that hairdo. She said, I love it. It's naturally curly. It's beautiful. I said, you haven't seen it then when it's sweaty, because hanging out of his helmet, it doesn't look that great. She still loves it, guys.
Mark told me he didn't appreciate that hairstyle that much, but when Robert Gallery came in, he switched and told him, you know what, Robert, that really looks good on you. That's the first time I've seen you a little intimidated when someone walked in the room.
That's a big cat. 3rd down. They're 3 of 6 on 3rd down conversions. Chandler deceptively elusive. And a smart throw to Ramon Ochoa for the 1st down. Ochoa knew exactly where the 1st down marker was at the 23-yard line.
And Mark, Travis Harris the athletic defensive end from Florida, decides right here to go inside underneath Cervantes, the fullback, and Chandler takes advantage of that by breaking contain. Once again, a good decision right here by Chandler to stop and throw to Ramon Ochoa for the first down.
Chandler, a pianist, writes his own classical music, making a concerto today, 8 of 13 passing, leading that Hawkeye offense. Jamel Lewis, the deep back out of the eye. Lewis stopped up at about the 23 by Channing Crowder. Crowder, an amazing story. Missed just 2 games this year after undergoing knee surgery in October. Had his knee cleaned out and really has inspired his teammates. A redshirt freshman whose dad played in the National Football League for Miami and Tampa.
Mark, I know this is a pretty strong statement, but after having watching him on tape, seeing him at practice, he reminds me of a young Junior Seau.
Really?
I mean, this kid has an amazing body. Defensive freshman of the year in the SEC from Atlanta, originally committed to Georgia, ended up here at Florida.
They got a young nucleus coming back next year for Ron Zook. 2nd down and 9. Blitz and backside pressure. Chandler to Hinkle. Close to another first down at the 16-yard line. At some point, you have to recognize the subtlety and significance of Nathan Chandler.
And Mark, the real good quarterbacks have a way to feel that pressure coming from the backside. Right here, the rush is coming from his blind side, but he feels it coming, rolls away from Lee, the defensive end, and makes a completion. You know, for 6'7", this guy really is a remarkable athlete, the way he moves around.
Transfer from Texas Tech and Pasadena Community College, 3rd down and short. Lewis got the first down and then some at about the 11-yard line. Jamel Lewis, not many people thought that he would be where he is right now. Suffered a knee injury back in the spring, and they said that it would take him a full 9 months to come back, and he was back on the field playing full bore at about 7 months, Bob.
Really is remarkable, Mark, and what helps him, not many guys squat 615 pounds.
You think?
And have that great leg strength.
And they rotate the backs as Fred Russell back in the ball game. 1st and 10, they can get a first down without scoring. 9:50 to go in the first half. Iowa marching once again. And Nathan Chandler calls a timeout. Iowa trying to atone for their misgivings last year in the FedEx Orange Bowl, where they were thumped by USC. Looking good so far when we come back. Well, Ponce de Leon sailed the Atlantic, discovered Florida and the Tampa area back in the 1500s, looking for the fountain of youth. And it's not about youth today. It's about Nathan Chandler, the senior signal caller for Iowa, leading his team down the field. Hawkeyes leading by a field goal with 9:46 to go in the 18th edition of the Outback Bowl. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe. Happy New Year to everybody.
And Mark, Florida, a tremendously talented football team, but Iowa won't be odd. They've played Michigan, they've played Ohio State, so they've seen some talented football players on that opposite side of the field before.
They run it between the tackles, down to the 5-yard line.
By number 9,
Russell.
And number 34.
Mark, once again, looking at it like a linebacker. The zone blocking schemes, Freddie Russell cuts back. He's a strong, powerful little running back. Incidentally, he has another year of eligibility, but he's decided to come out in the NFL draft. And Mark, we'll get a chance to see him over in Hawaii at the Hula Bowl.
Freddie Russell has done a great job this year. 9th play of the drive coming up. 2nd down and 4. Play fake. Chandler, nothing but open real estate ahead of him. Touchdown. Got a nice block on the edge from Hinkle.
Again, Mark, on 2nd down, running down, they come with the naked bootleg, Florida with great recovery speed, closing speed, but that time lose contain, and really that was a result of an excellent call by Kenny O'Keefe, Iowa's offensive coordinator. Iowa right now with all the momentum in this football game.
Playing Hawkeye football, the 6th rushing touchdown this season for Nathan Chandler. And Holly Rowe, tell us what's coming up.
Hey, when we come back, we'll tell you about how Steve Spurrier's resignation from the Redskins may affect this Florida team.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2004 Outback Bowl. Presented by Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right. And in part by the Chrysler Pacifica. Well beyond the SUV. And Sonic. It's not just good, it's Sonic good. And Sonic. It's not just good, it's Sonic good.
Welcome back, everyone, to Tampa Bay, Florida, on an absolutely resplendent day here for college football. Iowa leading 17-7. Since the opening 2 drives, the Hawkeyes have turned the beat around on the Gators, taking a 10-point lead. Caldwell lets it bounce at the 6. Andre Caldwell brought down to the 15, a 9-yard return. Not great starting field position for the Florida Gators. And big news, Bob, in the sports world and the football world last couple of days. Former Gator head coach Steve Spurrier resigning from the Washington Redskins as their head coach, leaving some $15 million on the table. And you think it'll have some kind of tangible effect on this Gator program? I mean, he still has a home, has a presence in Gainesville.
Well, Mark, not a tangible effect, the fact that he resigned, but it's a nuisance for Ron Zook because the media, the fans, already have started a frenzy. Fans, media, they always want what they don't have. And the fact that Steve Spurrier's not here, a lot of people talking about him coming back. But let me say this. If Ron Zook keeps recruiting the way he's recruited the last couple years, based on the talent we saw at practice, Steve Spurrier's a great coach. But he doesn't have to worry about anyone if he keeps getting as many young players as he has now.
We'll say this about Ron Zook. He is relentless and tireless when it comes to his work ethic. When he was first hired by AD Jeremy Foley, he said, "Boss, you got to get me a cell phone that works in the shower so I can call recruits 24/7. That pass almost intercepted by Sean Considine.
Well, Mark, right now I promise you Ron Zook is worried about these guys in the gold pants. And you see Chris Leak right here. Keep in mind, he is still a freshman. Granted, a remarkable freshman, mature beyond his years, but he's still a freshman, and he's prone to make mistakes. Big 3rd down right here. Critical for Florida not to turn the football over, make a bad situation worse, Mark. It's not the end of the world to punt the football right here if you're Florida.
Gator fans are restless at this point. 3rd down and 10. Leak forced to run and nowhere to go, falling at the 17-yard line. It's another 3 and out for the Gators.
And right there, Mark, you see Iowa's defense at its best. No blitz, no man-to-man coverage, a basic 4-man rush, heavy zone coverage, forcing you to be patient.
That is the design of their defensive coordinator, Norm Parker. 4th down and 8. That defense has come a long way since last year.
And Iowa with 4 block punts on the season.
Wilbur gets off a low-line drive, but Ochoa fields at the 38. And they're going to whistle him down, saying that his knee touched on that 44-yard punt. For more on the Zook situation vis-a-vis Spurrier, let's go down to Holly.
Well, guys, I had a chance to talk with Jeremy Foley, the athletic director of Florida, before the game. He said he spoke with Steve Spurrier yesterday. Steve said, if anybody's asking, tell them I am out of coaching for a while. Also, Jeremy Foley says, we have a football coach. We're pleased with Ron Zook, so people shouldn't read too much into Steve Spurrier's resignation. Okay?
And I think it's important, Holly brings up a good point. Steve Spurrier did not create this situation in regards to Ron Zook. All he did was resign from the Washington Redskins. Now, could he make it easier on Ron Zook and definitively say he's not going to come back and coach the University of Florida? Sure, he could. But that's not necessarily his responsibility. He didn't create this situation that Ron Zook is in.
I don't think you can underscore how well Florida did under Zook's tutelage to turn their season around at 3-3. Reeling off 5 consecutive wins. First down and 10, though, right now for Iowa. And Nathan Chandler has a hot hand offensively. Hands it off to Fred Russell. And Russell is tackled at the 40-yard line. Iowa's last 3 drives have resulted in 17 points. After 2 early drives, which were resulting in punts. Nathan Chandler making a few heads turn here this afternoon. 7 minutes to go in the first half. It's the Big Ten against the SEC. Iowa coming in at 9-3 overall. They fake the counter to Russell. And hit the tight end, Eric Jensen. Close to the first down marker near midfield at about the 48-yard line. Looks to be about 2 feet shy.
Last year, Iowa had Dallas Clark, a first-round NFL draft choice. This year, Eric Jensen, all-academic Big Ten mark, makes his 16th catch on the season. We mentioned Dallas Clark. Remarkable what a coaching job that's been done at Iowa. They lost a lot of great football players off last year's football team.
Chandler keeps it in an attempt to get the first down, and you see that red line, and Bob, you've pointed it out before. You have to win the battle of the red line, especially on 3rd down. That time they got not quite the surge that they would have wanted up front. Looks like they're going to measure for the first down.
Mark, this is your first prediction. I'm going to put you out on the limb for the first time in 2004. Don't start stuttering. Did he make it?
Took you about 12 and a half hours, huh? I would say that he got it this time. Nathan Chandler, a long drink of water at 6'7", basically just falling forward. And it's a good way to begin the new year.
Tell you what, I teed you up for that. I teed you up for success right there, partner.
Speaking of success, what about Kirk Ferentz? 1-10 his first year, followed by 3-9. They turned the corner at 7-5. Last year, 11-2, and now on the cusp of another double-digit win season.
And Mark, the opportunity right now, play action pass, throw the football down the field to Mo Brown.
They come out in a 2 tight end formation, Jensen and Jackson, the tight ends. Fred Russell out to the 50-yard line. Ray McDonald making the stop. And you talk about where Ferentz started to breed that success. It really started on that offensive line.
Exactly. I mean, well documented the story of taking undersized offensive linemen, really high school tight ends, Mark, like Robert Gallery, and 3, 4, 5 years later, they're 300-pound offensive linemen. Continuity in his staff. Offensive coordinator Kenny O'Keefe, defensive coordinator Norm Parker, and their strength coach Chris Doyle has had a big impact on this program.
2nd and 9, Jermel Lewis into the boundary. Nice run down to the 43-yard line. Channing Crowder finally pushing him out of bounds. Well, tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern, it's the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl featuring Tennessee and Clemson. And Clemson has averaged 43 points in its last 3 wins. Coverage beginning with a College Game Day Bowl special at 3:30 Eastern time on ESPN. And back to Ferentz, Bob, especially in this area, his name always seemingly creeping up for head coaching jobs in the pro ranks, in the NFL ranks.
Mark, obviously he had spent time in the NFL under Bill Belichick at the Cleveland Browns, then went on to the Baltimore Ravens, so he's been in that league.
Looked like a loose ball and a fumble down there on 3rd and short. Bad break for the Hawkeyes offensively with 5 minutes to go here in the first half. Hawkeyes fortunate to recover it.
Mark, right there, it's obviously impossible to tell exactly what happened, but a self-inflicted mistake. Excellent job. It looks like Edgar Cervantes, the fullback, coming in there and recovering that ball for Iowa, but an unforced error by Iowa forces them to punt this football.
Kewan Ratliff suspended for the beginning of this game. Back to get the punt for Florida. Bradley. And this one's going to be down at about the 5-yard line. That's the type of work that Kirk Ferentz said they wanted to do in the special teams game and in the kicking game. A 37-yard punt. Nothing on the return, and the true freshman Chris Leak has not had one of his better days yet. And I put an asterisk beside this, yet, because it's still early. He's engineered a lot of second-half comebacks for the Gators this year. And the big play was this 70-yard strike to Kelvin Kite for the touchdown, which gave the Gators a 7-0 lead at that point. But since then, it's been 17 consecutive points for Iowa. Faison stopped up at the 5-yard line.
Confidence right now, Mark. You really sense the confidence of this Iowa football team, and it always helps when you're winning the field position game.
Under 4 minutes to go in the first half. And we got flags down in the field. We have an all-Mountain West crew today.
Half the distance, second down.
And Mark, one thing that I don't like about no-huddle spread offenses, I think there are still situations in football games, particularly in a situation like this where momentum's against you, you're backed up on your own goal line. It's not bad to huddle. Have all 11 of those players look each other in the eye, get everybody on the same page, and get them settled down. There's a bunch of communication going on right now here at the line of scrimmage, and it is still a freshman quarterback in the game.
2nd and 13, a freshman that works tirelessly, watching a lot of film. Chris Leak out of his own end zone. Incomplete and dangerously so, intended for Dallas Baker. It'll be 3rd down and 13.
And Mark, let's talk a little bit about Chris Leak, the #1 high school player in the country last year. Obviously chose Florida, but he called Kirk Ferentz in recruiting and wanted to visit Iowa because he had watched Iowa play Michigan, a game we did on ESPN, and was so impressed.
And Ferentz was impressed with Leak, saying that his priorities certainly were in the right place and still are. 3rd and 13. Passing out of his end zone. Leak wisely throws it away, and boy, the Hawkeyes are stunting and confronting that Gator offense. That's 3 consecutive 3-and-outs.
And again, heavy zone coverage by Iowa frustrates Chris Leak. And Mark, right now, Iowa in a great situation to either come after this punter. They've blocked 4 punts this year. Sean Considine, number 37, has blocked 2. Or go ahead and return with Ramon Ochoa.
With 3:28 to go in the first half, Iowa, you would think, would have good field position after this Wilbur punt, and he shanks it.
Wilbur's punt is away.
Got a nice roll out to the 42. Iowa hoping to turn around the fortunes of the Big Ten. And we have a fight at the 33-yard line. Emotions running hot on this sunny afternoon. Jermaine Roberts got into it with one of the Gator players down there. It's a 39-yard punt by Eric Wilbur. Going to go against Florida. They're going to tax.
Personal foul. Kicking team, 15 yards. First down.
Not what Florida needed at this juncture of the ball game.
And time right now for a young Florida football team particularly here on defense, to step up, Mark.
They faced adversity before. They were 3-3 after the loss to Mississippi. 22 seniors called an emergency players-only team meeting. Each and every one of them, about 5 leaders spoke out, including Chris Leak, one of the players present there. They aired it out, talked about chemistry and accountability, and went on a 5-game winning streak. And right now, facing more adversity. First down and 10. Fred Russell staying on his feet. Down to the 18-yard line, tackled by Ferrier, but close to a first down.
Freddie Russell is also hot, Mark. Right here, we look at the zone play. Freddie Russell again runs away from the corner fire. Johnny Lamar coming from the backside. Here you get a good look at zone blocking, but more important, the quickness and suddenness of little Freddie Russell.
Fred Russell remembers the disappointment of a season ago, remembers the disappointed fans after their loss at the Orange Bowl. Said he was sitting on the bus and saw the throng of thousands and was inspired to play well for them. Jamel Lewis now in a tailback for Iowa. They fake the jailbreak screen. Into the end zone. Incomplete, in and out of the hands of Ed Hinkle. He had it until he hit the turf, it appeared. Ed Hinkle had it temporarily.
Obviously, Mark, an opportunity for Ed Hinkle right there to make a play in the end zone. Florida very fortunate right there that was not a touchdown.
Iowa just dominating the time of possession, about 2-1 so far. Third down and 1.
It's all about that red line right now, Mark, on third down and less than 1.
Fred Russell putting the pedal to the metal, getting the first down, bouncing at the 10. Got a nice lead block on the ISO from Cervantes.
Mark, you talk about that red line, and I'll tell you one thing, the guys in the white shirts, they're winning that red line. Excellent block right there by Cervantes, and the little tailback is going to sneak up through there. Red line, it's on that Iowa sidelines right now.
Red line, especially in the red zone. Fred Russell will tell anybody who wants to listen he is intent on running the ball today.
And a bunch of hands on the hips in the guys in the blue shirts, Mark. Looking around, a little bit lethargic, getting lined up. Iowa taking it to him.
Boy, they got in on the snap as soon as it got into Chandler's hand. Marcus Thomas almost intercepted the snap, Bob. I mean, he was right there.
Marcus Thomas, a true freshman, Mark. He committed to Florida State, but ended up signing with Florida, has really come on great here at the end of the season. 9 tackles and a sack in their last game against Florida State. He's 285 pounds and really explosive.
Front 7, extremely young, but extremely talented. Second down and goal all the way back at the 15. Iowa 2 for 2 in the red zone today. Now Chandler, operating out of the shotgun, steps back and calls a timeout. We'll take him with us as we take a timeout as well. Iowa using up its full complement. Going to gather with a brain trust, and we'll be back. .12:30 Eastern time here on New Year's Day. And if you're just taking the lampshade off of your head from the party the night before and settling in, Iowa has been red hot in its last 3 offensive series, leading 17-7 right now on second and goal. Jamel Lewis in at tailback for the Hawkeyes, who have dominated the ball. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe. This is the Outback Bowl from Tampa, Florida. Big Ten against the SEC. Blitz coming by the Gators. And Chandler throws it away. It'll be third down and goal.
Mark, and one thing here as we look at this third down and 15 for Iowa. Iowa knows they are in Nate Kading's range right now. Maybe the best kicker in college football. Not a bad screen down right now. A year ago with Brad Banks, it would have been quarterback draw maybe.
Right.
But Iowa careful not to turn the ball over. Almost a short 3 points right here if nothing goes wrong.
There are times they like the jailbreak screen to Mo Brown here. Brown is in the slot. Chandler comes back the other way, incomplete. Tried going back to Hinkle. And it'll be 4th down. Good pressure up front by the Gator front 7.
2 downs in a row. Charlie Strong comes with the safety blitz. You're going to see Bailey, the strong safety mark, coming right up the gut. Good pressure on Nathan Chandler. They tried to sight adjust and go to the out to Ed Hinkle, but once again, it's Nate Kading time.
Kading has made one already from 47 yards out. This one coming from 32. This guy is cash money. Like the ATM, and just like Reese Davis. Reese, Happy New Year. Tell us what's up at halftime.
Happy New Year to you too, Mark, and to Bob. We have Albert Martin May with me. Coming up on the Dodge Halftime Report, we will have a look at the first national championship game, Mark.
And looking at both these teams in a Rose Bowl, there'll be a lot of points scored. They score 37 points or more by each team.
And since it's New Year's, you mentioned it, New Year's Day resolutions. We'll look forward to that. And one may involve officials and workout facilities. We'll explain.
Kinder and gentler. Nah, why bother with that? And Nebraska thought it had its man as a head coach. We're going to have to drop down the list. We'll talk about it at halftime.
What down to the D's?
We need to give out an Iron Man award.
What down to the D's?
We need to give out an Iron Man award. Iron Man award goes to Reese Davis, Mark May, back in the studio. And also Trev.
Unbelievable job. I mean, around the clock all day yesterday, watching them in the hotel, and now once again today. And Bob is, hey, I want to wish you a Happy New Year, man. We've had a nice season. Yeah. What about the second half now with time winding down? Iowa getting another field goal. Who would have thought that Iowa would have come out and dominated, frankly, the way they have?
Well, particularly Florida with the big play early in the game had all the momentum. Number one priority, if you're Florida, don't make another mistake, Mark, before halftime. Get to the locker room only down 20-7 and regroup, particularly starting with Chris Leak, the quarterback.
Chris Leak is so focused that he says he doesn't want to have a girlfriend until he has a championship ring, a national title ring. I mean, that's the type of focus that young man has. That's
Mark,
saying a lot for a freshman, Bob.
I had a chance to be around him as a young guy. He is the prototypical
You got it.
gym rat, but a gym rat with great talent. So he's the perfect package.
Seen a lot of comebacks in this bowl game, this Outback Bowl game. Ben Troop making the catch out by the 24. Actually, Dallas Baker that time making the grab. And, well, the great views today. Outstanding views are being provided by the Outback Steakhouse airship, the Bloomin' Onion. Captain Mitch Johnson is at the controls of the Bloomin' Onion high above the Outback Bowl. It wouldn't be an Outback Bowl without the Bloomin' Onion. Second down and 5 coming up. And this afternoon, as we have a timeout on the field, 4:30 Eastern time, it's a BCS showdown. Top-ranked USC, number 1 in the polls, will look to improve their national champs as they take on number 4 Michigan in the Rose Bowl game, presented by Citi. No matter which team you think is number 1, the only place to see them play is on ABC. And there's a look at the BCS standings presented by Allstate. Oklahoma, controversially at number 1. LSU, number 2. They'll play in the Nokia Sugar Bowl. And Bob, your thoughts on if USC wins against Michigan, do you vote them number 1?
Mark, I'm a former coach.
you stick with the coaches, right?
I've been mandated. Once a coach, always a coach.
So the heat's off then, right?
Well, the heat's always on, Mark. You have to vote Oklahoma if they win as the national champion. But that Rose Bowl game, Michigan and USC, what a great matchup. 2 flashy teams with a lot of talent playing in the Rose Bowl. We have 2 great games on here late in the season.
Second down and 5. Leak. Matt Roth wraps him up and plants him into the turf. And derisively doing the Gator chop. That's his 12th sack of the season. Florida now in a hurry up. That's a 31st sack defensively for Iowa.
And Mark, if you're Florida, just let this clock run out.
Right.
So you obviously don't have to punt this football. A great first half performance, by Iowa, particularly because Florida had some momentum early in this game.
3rd and 15. They're going to let it wind down and gather in the locker room. Florida will down by 13 points. And Hawley is standing by with head coach Ron Zook.
Coach, you've got a true freshman quarterback in his first bowl game. How would you describe Chris's first half?
He played well in the first quarter. He's not playing real well in the second quarter. We got some open guys, and he's not hitting them. But, one thing about Chris that he's done a good job of throughout the year is he's been able to get control of his own emotions and come back. So he's going to need to do that here in the second half.
What can you do in the second half to stop Iowa's offense?
Well, we just, we played well in the first. Right now, we're just, we're getting guys in position. We're just not making the play. We played well in the first quarter, and we're not doing the things that we have to do in the second quarter. So, once again, when the momentum changed there, we got to get it back. We get the ball to start the second half.
Thanks very much, Coach. Mark, back to you.
It's 20-7 at halftime. The Dodge halftime report is coming up next with Reese, Trev, and Mark. And Reese, if Ron Zook walked on water, the Gator Nation would complain. And say he can't swim. It's tough.
That's what happened.
And welcome back to Tampa. Shot high above Raymond James Stadium. Time now for the pomp and pageantry of our halftime ceremony. The bands are playing. And welcome back, everyone. At halftime, Iowa leading 20-7 over the Florida Gators out of the SEC. The Big Ten with just one win so far during the bowl season. Mark Jones along with Bob Davey, Holly Rowe down at the field. Once again, a Happy New Year from all of us at ESPN to all of you at home. And Bob, interesting to note, at the end of the first half, as Ron Zook and the Gators left the field, we heard a distinctive smattering of boos, a chorus of boos raining down. How did they react after that?
Well, Mark, you can only worry about things you can control, and there's a reason you have halftime. The reason you have halftime, as a coach, you get in there and settle your football team down, give them a plan that gives them a chance to win the second half. The reason you play the second half, so your football team has a chance to come back and win the game. So Florida's coaching staff has a responsibility, starting with Ron Zook, to give them a plan, and then ultimately their football team has the main responsibility to come back and play better in this second half. I think key for Florida is to settle Chris Leak down by throwing some screen passes, getting the ball out of his hands a little bit quicker, running the football. We see right there that passes, getting the ball out of his hands a little bit quicker, running the football. We see right there that they only had 24 yards rushing in the first half, and ultimately because of that, Mark, control the football a little bit to control this time of possession because Iowa dominated. If you're Iowa, don't get conservative. Run the football. You know you can run it. Take your shots down the field with play action, and when you cross midfield, you're in Nate Kading's range. Just get it close, and Nate Kading can win this football game for you.
Big advantage for the Hawkeyes as we looked at the U.S. Marines first half statistics. Kirk Ferentz's team coming into this ball game with thoughts of last year and the debacle down at the Orange Bowl, but this year the preparation was different. The mindset was certainly different. And Fred Russell and the rest of the crew took care of the offense in the first half. Nate Kading set to kick off for Iowa, who received the opening kickoff and were unable to score. Florida got off to that quick start, but they have struggled ever since offensively.
And Mark, I go back to the point as Florida gets this football, don't make it all revolve around Chris Leak. Get the ball out of his hands, throw some screen passes against this zone coverage that Iowa's employing. Don't try to force it down the football field.
Kading kicks off. At the goal line, it's Caldwell. Andre Caldwell brought down at the 16-yard line. Let's take a look at our Outback game track. Some of the precise, cogent points of the game. Florida off to that lightning-quick start, as demonstrated by this 70-yard strike. It's a kite. But then Iowa's defense began to tighten the screws on quarterback Chris Leak. And the Hawkeyes responded with 20 consecutive points. Chandler doing a good job of mixing up the plays. Here's Leak. Oh, and they got rocked. Grant Steen rocked O.J. Small's world.
Mark, we talked about getting the ball out of his hands and throwing the screen pass. I think Grant Steen heard that coaching point, and right here he explodes on this bubble screen and knocks O.J. Small back. Keep in mind, O.J. Small, Mark, 225 pounds.
Grant Steen, though, limping off the field. Steen has been a warrior for the Hawkeyes over the last couple of seasons. This year has been nicked up quite a bit, fighting injuries and coming back healthy in this game. Last 3 games of the season, he's been much better. 2nd down and 10 for Florida. Empty formation. 5 receivers out on the play. Leak complete to the 21-yard line. That's Vernell Brown. Abdul Hodge making the stop on the play.
Again, Iowa, Mark, zone coverage, letting those linebackers break on the football. That 93 yards early, a little bit deceptive, because obviously one of those was a 70-yard pass play. The red line again, pass protection first.
3rd and 5 for the Gators. Leak incomplete. Good coverage on Carlos Perez by Abdul Hodge. And let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe.
Hey guys, we talked with Coach Kirk Ferentz at halftime, and he said his kids have to just play football. That sounds so simple, but he said their goal coming to the game was to be physical in all 3 phases of the game, and he said they did that, but he wants them to continue and not get such big heads because they're up by 13 over a Florida SEC team. Talking to Ron Zook, they said they will try to take some of the pressure off of Chris Leak, put the ball in some of their other playmakers' hands.
And it's blocked. Wilbur had it blocked into the end zone. Touchdown, Iowa. Matt Malloy blocked it and recovered it.
Mark, it cannot start any better if you're Iowa as we start this second half. On the flip side, it cannot be any worse for Florida. To block that punt after a 3-and-out series, Florida has a huge mountain to climb now, Mark.
It's something we've seen all year from the Hawkeyes. Their ability to block punts and come up with big plays on special teams. The Hawkeye Nation has detonated in the face of the Gators and right now lead 27-7. Malloy getting the job done. More after this. Iowa turning some heads at the beginning of the second half with a blocked punt for a touchdown. Matt Malloy blocking it and recovering it in the end zone. It was the first blocked punt for Florida all year. Kading's kick is going to come down at about the 5 and dropped by Caldwell. It continues to unravel for the Gators. From bad to worse. Here's a look at the blocked punt.
Mark, this is just a total breakdown right here. Joe Cohen right here, number 20, is the slot, a true freshman. Matt Malloy's the outside rusher. He is responsible to block number 1 in man-to-man protection. He just turns him loose. Matt Malloy takes the ball off the punter's foot, and right here, Jameer Roberts forces the punter out of bounds, and Matt Malloy recovers the fumble for a touchdown.
That has been an opportunistic Iowa team. Fumble! And it's recovered by Mike DeGore, the offensive center. Faison had it come out of his arms. You saw the number. Iowa has been very opportunistic. with all those non-offensive touchdowns over the last couple of seasons.
And Mark, you always make a decision as a coach. You put the young, super talented player like Joe Cohen, a freshman on the punt team, or you go with older guys that maybe are a little more experienced.
About that time it was Rand Carthon hanging on to the ball for Florida out to the 23. And they got the first down, and a bit of a derisive cheer from a very sarcastic Gator gathering on the sidelines, their fans.
And I think a good job of Ed Zonbrecker, Florida's offensive coordinator, putting Chris Leak under center, putting two backs in the backfield, running play action pass.
There's some play action right there for you. The pass is complete to Small. O.J. Small out into Iowa's territory at the 47. They could use a lot more of that, a 30-yard pickup offensively. They're in fast mode offensively.
Again, Mark, good plan. Put the quarterback under center, more balance in your offense with the running game, going to some play action pass, less drop back.
Here's Rand Carthon chopped down at the line of scrimmage by Abdul Hodge, playing in front of some hometown folks from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, about 3 hours down the turnpike. A hard-hitting front seven for Iowa.
You're going to see Abdul Hodge right there, comes off the block of Max Starks.
Pass complete. Down to the 37-yard line. That's Carlos Perez. Senior playing his last game for the Gators. Out near the first down marker at about the 37.
And you see one of the advantages of no huddle, Mark, even though it's 27-7, Florida quickly into getting those plays run at the line of scrimmage. Here Chris Leak takes it on the quarterback sneak for the first down. So they're totally in their comfort zone right now. All they do is pick the tempo up a little bit more because obviously they're down by 20 points.
Ron Zupka getting a little bit bewildered on the sidelines, looking for some answers. Iowa with 27 consecutive unanswered points.
Mark, and Ben Troop, maybe the best tight end in the country so far in this football game. I don't believe he has a catch.
Play fake. And Leak lofts it high, incomplete. O.J. Small, his intended receiver, slipped on the turf and fell. Second down and 10 for Florida.
And Florida comes back, Mark, to the same route they ran on the big pass a second ago. They clear out the quarters of the field with the outside receiver, then O.J. Small in behind it. That's a good quarters coverage beater by clearing out the outside corner, then isolating the inside receiver on the strong safety.
This Iowa defense is 10th in the nation in scoring defense. Stingy. Carthon having to earn those yards down to the 31-yard line. Neibauer making the stop. Florida getting on track a little bit here offensively in the second half. Putting Chris Leak under the center and now out of the shotgun for one of the few times on this drive. This is the 9th play, 3rd and 5.
Expect twist stunts up front by this Iowa defensive line, Mark. They love to twist.
Troop in motion. Leak almost intercepted that time by Javon Johnson. It'll be 4th and 5. Pass was intended for Dallas Baker.
Again, Iowa zone coverage. Excellent break on the ball right there by the corner, number 26, Jovan Johnson.
Now Matt Leach coming in to attempt a field goal. This one will come from about 49 yards out. He's 20 of 26 on the season and 5 of 8 between 40 and 49 yards. A nice kick by Leach. He's hit 9 of his last 10 now. And we have a timeout, and time now for our Aflac trivia question. What school has the best record and what school has the worst record in Big Ten versus SEC bowl games? Ponder that. We'll have the answer on the other side. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone, to Tampa, the 18th Outback Bowl. Iowa leading by 17 points. And got to get to the Tampa, St. Pete's area, folks, and dip your toes in the sand and order yourself your favorite beverage. Get out to the beach. There's our Holly Rose sporting a bit of a tan these days, Bob. This is Fred Russell on the kickoff return. Great balance out to the 33-yard line. Iowa has, we got a little something going on the field. Iowa, meanwhile, has done a nice job running the ball, mostly on the shoulders of Fred Russell. A total of 129 rushing yards. They've done it between the tackles, on the edges. Fred Russell bound and determined to make it happen. 12 rushes for a total of 95 yards, and Jamel Lewis doing a nice job of complimenting him. First down and 10. Chandler on the play fake. And he throws it away. That'll be second down and 10.
Market complete. Second and 10.
Well, it certainly goes without saying that when they run the ball, they can be a very, very productive team.
Mark, because obviously most teams that are able to run the football are successful, but what really makes it successful is it gives them the opportunity to throw the play-action pass game. They are not a great drop-back team, so they have to run the ball to be able to set up the big play potential with play-action passes.
Nathan Chandler, the senior, leading the way offensively. Mo Brown in motion. They give it to Fred Russell, and he's bottled up right at the 30-yard line. It's going to be third and long. Mike Fleming making the statement for the Gator defense. Third and 10 coming up. It would be huge if the Gators could get a stop here.
Mark, it would. I want to bring up this point again, because I know you're a big playoff proponent in college football. I love the current bowl structure. This has been an unbelievable atmosphere here at this Outback Bowl.
You flipped
me, If there was
man.
a playoff system,
you
would not have this same atmosphere. The Outback may not even be a part of the playoff system.
You converted me. Third and 10. Chandler. And it's fourth down. A nice sequence defensively for the Gators.
And the Gator fans, Mark, they were booing at the end of the first half. Now they're coming back, trying to help this football team.
Iowa had scored on its last 4 straight possessions prior to this.
And Mark, I'm really surprised that Kewan Ratliff is not back returning this punt. He is one of the best in the country.
Instead, it's going to be Vernell Brown. Bradley with his 4th punt. Brown's going to watch it bounce at the 37. It takes a very good Iowa roll down to the 27. 42-yard punt, nothing on the return. The Big Ten has struggled so far in bowl games, just 1-3 coming in. A big win by Minnesota yesterday, and Asad Abdul-Khalik capping his career in a very nice way.
January 1st, Mark. Minnesota started the momentum last night against Oregon, won. Now January 1st. That's what people will remember about the Big Ten and this year's bowl games.
And right now, Purdue trailing Georgia. First down and 10 for the Gators. Got a field goal out of the last drive. See if they can keep the momentum on their side. Rand Carthen out to the 33. Klaus making the stop.
Mark, let's talk about Max Starks, this big offensive tackle from Florida. This is one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen. You know, his mom is an undertaker. He grew up in the funeral business. I did a home visit with him, and we actually did it at the funeral home when he was a senior in high school.
A little cold in there?
You know, he is also president of the Junior Undertakers Association. That's the biggest potential undertaker in the United States. I'm going to go out on a limb and make that statement.
Hey, people look at him, they may come back to life. Carlos Perez on that last catch. That is a big cat. Max Starks, third down and short, 1 to go. Perez in motion. Leak goes through his progression and finds Carthen And they got the first down at the 40. They made the freshman quarterback be patient, Bob, and he found his man for the first down.
You're right, Mark, and it starts with the protection. We talked about Big Mac Starks right here, lined up. Look at the size of that man mountain. Howard Hodges with 10 sacks, a great player, but undersized. That is a big, big man, Mark.
No doubt. Carthen with another nice run out to the 47. And Reese Davis, what do you have for us?
Mark, got the other Big Ten SEC matchup going on right now, the Capital One Bowl. Georgia and Purdue. Dogs marched it right down. David Green, Fred Gibson, Dogs on top 7-0 in their defense, stifling Purdue. Maryland jumped on top of West Virginia 10-0.
Right, and the Big East finally getting the win last night with Boston College winning. Second down and 3 right here for the Gators. Leak. Nice catch and a nice tackle by Bob Sanders on Reggie Lewis. Bob Sanders will rattle your fillings, that's for sure. But a 15-yard pickup by Florida.
Mark, he is an explosive player, but Iowa again in zone coverage. Watch the linebacker jump the crossing right here. Abdul Hodge jumps the crossing route. He allows the second-level crossing route to come open. Bob Sanders had to break on the ball and make the tackle. I'm impressed with Florida's offense right now, Mark. I think a great job at halftime of settling this football team down.
And Leak going up top has Baker. Just overthrowing him. He got in behind Javon Johnson. That was inches away from being 6.
Mark, and Chris Leak, you can tell he's been coached up probably since he's been in the cradle. Watch this release right here. He throws the football right from his ear like a catcher. A tremendous release, and he threw that ball about 60 yards in the air. But he has a great release for a young quarterback.
Second down and 10. Release is complete out of the backfield, and it's dropped by Faison. Faison got it back at the 47-yard line. Neibauer was there to pounce on him.
Mark, and there has been no call just yet by this officiating crew. There's some confusion right here whether this was a catch or not.
Well, there's our answer. Third down coming up. 10 to go. Florida's offense has looked much different in the last 2 drives. And it did in the ending part of the second period.
Mark, we get a chance to look at this again. Faison, the wide receiver, the ball thrown behind him. I don't think he ever had possession. I think that's a good call right there. Ruling it incomplete.
They're 3 of 10 on third down conversions this afternoon.
And Ben Troop, Mark, silent in this football game. Number 84, the big tight end from Florida.
Leak wide open. First down to Carlos Perez at the 23-yard line. And here come the Gators. Alive and well.
Again, Mark, they're starting to run these crossing routes against zone coverage. Again, Carlos Perez in behind the linebackers. Ed Zonbrecker, Florida's offensive coordinator, I think. Excellent job at halftime. This quarterback is now getting into his comfort zone, Mark.
It looks like it on first and 10. Carthen. Gaping hole over the right side of that offensive line. Zonbrecker, his offense installed a couple of years ago when head coach Ron Zook brought him in, the former offensive coordinator at Marshall, where he had some pretty prolific quarterbacks in Pennington and Leftwich. You can coach him up, Bob.
And got to know Ron Zook when he was an assistant at LSU, and Ron Zook was an assistant at Florida. They actually played in the Southeast Conference assistant golf tournament together and rode on the same golf cart. They've been friends ever since, and he was Ron Zook's first hire when he became head coach.
Fumbled snap. And Leak falls on the loose ball way back at the 28. And Matt Roth was there just to make sure that he stayed down.
And an excellent no call right there, in my opinion, by the officials. But again, he's a freshman beyond his years. But here, Mark, he just muffed that shotgun snap. And again, Ed Zonbrecker, it's not bad to put him under center, Mark. You put a lot of burden on this quarterback, as you see him right now, orchestrating again everything at the line of scrimmage. That takes its toll, particularly on a young guy.
Bob looking at 3rd down and long, 14 to go. Leak. Given time for Baker. Oh my goodness! He caught it! Took the elevator to the top floor over Javon Johnson, but there's a flag on the play. So hold on, let's see if it stands.
He may have used one of those Iowa defenders, Mark, as part of that elevator.
Yeah.
I think this one may come back.
It sure will. Much to the dismay of Ron Zook. Dallas Baker has a 38-inch vertical leap, and he showed you part of it there. The nephew of Wes Chandler.
We are going to get a chance to look at it. First of all, a great catch by Dallas Baker. Really difficult to see.
Not sure where the infraction occurred, frankly.
Mark, that's a tough call. And look at the impact of this penalty. Instead of being a touchdown, now that football is back on the 42-yard line. So there's been some big plays in this football game. That may have been the biggest by the guys in that black and white shirt.
Our officials from the Mountain West Conference, headed by Claire Gossman, Centennial, Colorado. 3rd and St. Pete's to go. Leak. Nobody in the 8-1-3 area code could catch that. And it's 4th down. So what looked like a very inspiring drive early ends in 4th down and 29.
And Mark, critical right now for Florida's defense. They have some young players. Don't get in the ebb and flow of this football game right now as far as momentum. Some good things happening for Florida. Go out and play defense. Forget about that offensive pass interference. You can't do anything as a defensive player. So get the football back for your offense right now. Florida playing better.
Now here's Wilbur with the punt, a spiral. It goes into the end zone. A 42-yard punt, nothing on the return. And right now it's going to be up to Ron Zook's defensive unit to become much stronger and slow the bleeding. We'll be right back after this.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2004 Outback Bowl, presented by Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right. And in part by Chevy, the cars you can depend on, the cars that last. We'll be there. And Raymond James, listening to you like you are the only investor in the world. Raymond James, you first.
Iowa with a 27-10 lead here in the 3rd quarter with just under 6 minutes to go. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe for this is the 18th edition of the Outback Bowl. It's the Big Ten against the SEC. Big Ten looking for its 2nd win overall in the bowl big picture. Fred Russell, the deep back out of the eye on 1st down and 10. A little premature movement up front.
Get ball. False start. Offense, 5 yards. First down.
It'll be 1st down and 15 now for Iowa.
Mark, anytime you have those linemen up at the line of scrimmage for a long time, there's a chance there's going to be a procedure penalty. That time, Nathan Chandler checking, doing a lot of X and O at the line of scrimmage. Robert Gallery jumped in motion.
Sets up a 1st down and 15. Gallery, the Outland Trophy winner, and a big part of their success being able to run the ball today with a total of 129 yards on the ground. Brown in motion. Play action, Chandler on the naked bootleg, wide open. Mo Brown with one guy to beat. And he's pushed out of bounds at the 43 by Gus Scott.
Number 9, Brown for the 1st down.
Great ball handling by the quarterback, Nathan Chandler. Really sold the fake.
Again on a running down, 1st and 10. Great play action fake. He hides the ball in his belly. Mo Brown right there, Mark, with an out and up move on Keon Ratliff, the corner. Right here we see a little out, back up the field, and look right here, Keon Ratliff looking back into the backfield. You should be focused on that receiver right there. An excellent design, and Iowa again, Mark, with great field position.
They're going to run the ball. Freddie Russell down to the 37. A momentum killer for Florida. That offensive pass interference moments ago. Let's take one more look.
Mark, and such a big call in the game. Let's go back and look again. Right there, I think, is where the offensive pass interference was called. It was before the football got to the receiver, Dallas Baker. That was offensive pass interference early before Dallas Baker went up to catch the football. I can tell by the look on your face, you don't agree with that call.
Sold.
But, Mark, you have to give the defensive back an opportunity to go up and make a play on the ball. Dallas Baker inhibited Jovan Johnson from jumping and going vertical. It was pass interference.
Ball's up there for grabs, and the big fella just went up and got it. That's the way I saw it anyway, and that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Fred Russell, meanwhile, Bob, gets the first down for the Hawkeyes, moving the chains at the 34-yard line. Fred Russell now has gone over 100 yards in the ball game. At 1,205 coming in. That's his 15th 100-plus rushing game this season. Pardon me, in his career.
Mark, when you talk about deep in the backfield, that's about as deep as a tailback gets. He's back there almost at 10 yards.
And here's the zone play. Freddie Russell finding it, feeling it, doing it, and doing it well. Touchdown, Iowa.
Mark, that is too easy. Florida too talented of a defensive front. I mean, that's a crater right there. Nobody even within 5 yards of Freddie Russell from the time he takes the handoff. And Florida, a disappointing defensive series. They had a chance, Mark, with their offense playing better to make a statement. That was a poor defensive series for Florida. Iowa in total control now of this football game.
The ebb and flow has been amazing in this game from the very beginning. Kading knocks it through, and for Fred Russell, that's his 7th rushing touchdown this season. The big fella with big game from Inkster, Michigan, putting the hammer down. We'll be right back. Iowa up by 24 points over Florida right now as we look at the pirate ship here at Raymond James Stadium, and Fred Russell making the Gators walk the plank of that pirate ship right now. Pirate ship here at Raymond James Stadium, and Fred Russell making the Gators walk the plank of that pirate ship right now.
Reminds you of Warwick Dunn, a former Tampa Bay Buck, Mark, that used to play in this stadium a little bit, doesn't it?
Same build, right? And Caldwell with the knee, and let's go back to Reese. Reese, tell us the Big Ten's doing a little better, or are they?
Well, I tell you, it's a good thing Iowa's carrying that Big Ten banner for Big Ten loyalists, because Purdue Pete's got a dog on his rear end. It's Fred Gibson, his 2nd touchdown of the day, and Georgia's laying the wood, controlling the game, 14-0 in the Capital One Bowl. Maryland is doing likewise in the Toyota Gator Bowl, 17-0 over West Virginia.
I wonder if Purdue forgot their suntan lotion. What's happened to them? Deshaun Wynn running it over the left side of the offensive line.
Mark, and I know exactly what Ron Zook's doing right now. He's trying to keep this defensive team's head up. It's a little late. You go back to how critical that offensive pass interference was, which in my opinion was a good call. It would have been 27-17. A minute later, the reality is it's 34-10 Iowa. So a huge momentum change.
And Leak sacked back at the 19-yard line by Tyler Lupke. With 4 minutes to go now in the 3rd period. That has been a stout and staunch defense for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and Shannon Snell is down on the turf for the Gators. 6'4", 310-pound senior.
Well, here's our Aflac trivia question. We'll revisit that. What school has the best record and what school has the worst record in Big Ten SEC bowl games? Our producer, Bo Garrett, was teasing us, almost taunting us with this question in our production meeting last night, Bob, and I got to admit, I came up empty. You?
Well, that shows you that it's not going to be a Michigan or Ohio State with the best record like you would presume. Right?
Yeah, you got it.
He felt pretty confident that we wouldn't know this, and that's why right there. Ohio State with the worst
What
record.
about that? 0-6. Georgia looking to make it 5-0, leading Purdue right now. Our Aflac trivia question answer. Kirk Ferentz's squad this year, 5-3 in the Big Ten Conference play, 9-3 overall, and I can remember one of the turning points for Iowa this year seemed to be that Thursday before the Minnesota game out in Iowa City. He gave his team and had a chance to listen in on a very impassioned speech about responsibility and his troops taking equity and policing themselves and being selfless and really getting their act together, taking care of their business, and they really seemed to respond after that. Defeated Minnesota in that game and came up with a big win in Wisconsin on the road, and they would be finishing the season very well with a win here against the Gators.
Mark, we're going to get a chance here to look at Shannon Snell, the offensive lineman who gets rolled up on. He has had an excellent season. Right here, he's on the ground right there. It's obvious that left knee got rolled up on. He's a senior. His dad played in the NFL. And hopefully that is not a real serious injury.
One of several Florida players playing in front of the hometown family and fans here from Tampa, Florida. He and Caldwell.
And Norm Parker, Iowa's defensive coordinator, says it best. When you talk about Florida's offensive linemen, he said, those pants are full. They are some big guys, Mark.
Oh, boy, they've consumed a lot of Outback steak here during the last several days.
And that big offensive line better protect that red line right now because Iowa's in those sprinter stances crowding that red line.
There's Leak. Almost picked off by Javon Johnson, intended for Carlos Perez. That thing seemingly hanging up there forever.
Mark, and you notice Chris Leak seems to throw the football down the middle of the field much more decisively than he does throwing those passes to the outside flat area of the field. That's about the third time today that we've seen an outside throw almost picked off. So seems to be a much better quarterback on those crossing routes down through the middle of the field that we've seen him complete to Carlos Perez.
Remember, it came down to Iowa or Florida for the true freshman Leak. He chose the Gators. Ochoa watches it bounce. Back at the 22, Ramon Ochoa. Nice return out to the 45-yard line, a 23-yard run back on a 59-yard punt. Capital One Bowl League continues tomorrow on ESPN at 4:30 Eastern with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Clemson will face quarterback Casey Clausen in number 7 Tennessee. Volunteers finishing the season tied for first in the SEC East. Coverage begins with a College Game Day Bowl special at 3:30 Eastern time. And both those coaches, Bob, with some early Christmas presents, both getting their contracts extended respectively. Coach Bowden as well as Coach Fulmer.
Some green.
Bob, with some early Christmas presents, both getting their contracts extended respectively. Coach Bowden as well as Coach Fulmer.
Some green in those coaches' pockets, Mark. And there's going to be some orange in that stadium.
You got it. First down and 10. Fred Russell, the deep back. Russell scored the last time he touched the ball, not this time. Tackled at the 42. One of the pivotal plays here, especially in the second half, this offensive pass interference against Dallas Baker. Javon Johnson was defending. And then Fred Russell on the ensuing offensive drive, 34 yards and a turbo kicked in. And that's what you call a 14-point swing. 34-10 now, the Hawkeyes over the Gators. Iowa looking for its 10th win of the season against just 3 losses. That would give them back-to-back double-digit win seasons. They went 11-2 last year. A great balanced attack by the Hawkeyes. Jensen in motion. Give us to Russell. Freddie Russell near another Iowa first down. They're going to mark it at the 47-yard line, about a yard short.
Mark, we haven't talked a lot about Robert Gallery today, but right here, the good news, we haven't talked about Bobby McCray, number 57, either. You see him come off and reach Bobby McCray, the defensive end, ultimately chop him to the ground. So Bobby McCray a little bit frustrated right here, wanting that holding penalty. Just line up and play, Bobby. You can't worry about those penalties.
That was a 9-yard pickup, Bob, by Freddie Russell. 3rd and 1. Run the counter. Russell stopped up near the line of scrimmage. Not sure that he got the first down.
And Mark, I'm surprised right there that Iowa ran that little counter and pulled the lineman. They are normally successful when they run the zone play with offensive linemen all going in the same direction. That was a bit of a change-up call right there that surprised me.
It's going to be 4th down and short. 4th and 1 to go. Kicker David Bradley coming onto the field for the Hawkeyes.
Mark, it's obvious this has been a field position game, and Iowa's been the recipient all day of excellent field position, so really a no-brainer right here for Kirk Ferentz to go ahead and punt this football.
4th and 1, Bradley gets it off a high spiral, his 5th punt of the day. Their catch called back at the 9-yard line by Ratliff. A 39-yard punt, nothing on the return. Chris Leak, the true freshman, replacing a Heisman Trophy runner-up from a couple of years ago in Rex Grossman.
And Mark, so important as we look at a 34-10 football game. This game isn't over. I mean, not with the explosiveness of Florida, but even if it were to be over right now, we look at a 34-10 football game. This game isn't over. I mean, not with the explosiveness of Florida, but even if it were to be over right now, it's important for Florida to finish strong with this young quarterback. Sounds pretty not real important to some people, but finishing on a positive. Looking for some positive out of the chance here playing in January.
1st and 10, Bob. The toss to Carthon. Carthon brought down at the 13-yard line. Tell you a little bit more about the work ethic of Chris Lee, the freshman quarterback. Zonbrecker, actually, Zook called him the night before Christmas. And you know what he was doing? He was watching tape of the LSU game. If he fails today, it won't be for lack of preparation.
Mark, you're right. And Wake Forest offered Chris Leak a scholarship when he was in the 7th grade.
Can you do that?
Yeah. As long as he doesn't take it.
2nd and 7. Snell back in the ball game, up in the air and falling harmlessly incomplete to the turf. Abdul Hodge was all over O.J. Small.
And again, you see Iowa, who does not substitute, put extra defensive backs in the game. The linebacker, Abdul Hodge, breaking on this football. Iowa, Mark, interestingly, plays the same coverage just about every single down, a quarter coverage. Those players for Iowa get so comfortable, it comes down to reading the routes of the offense. They don't have to worry about where to line up. They worry about reading the routes of the offensive players.
3rd down and 7. Leak sacked back at the 4-yard line by Howard Hodges, his 11th of the season.
First of all, this is a coverage sack as we look at Howard Hodges from the backside. Howard Hodges, Mark, a guy I think should be playing in one of these postseason All-Star games. He's a senior. That's his 11th sack on the year. An undersized defensive end, but give credit to Iowa's zone coverage. Again, terrible field position for Florida all day.
Punting out of his end zone, Wilbur gets off a shaky punt. This one is going to stop rolling at the 43 of Florida. So once again, good starting field position for the Iowa Hawkeyes on that 39-yard boot. Capital One Bowl Week concludes on ESPN with the Humanitarian Bowl. Saturday at noon, Reggie Ball and Georgia Tech will face Tulsa. The Golden Hurricanes scored the biggest turnaround in college football from last season and will make their first bowl appearance since 1991. That's noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific on Saturday. Well, you can almost hear the applause and the shouts coming all the way from... Well, you can almost hear the applause and the shouts coming all the way from Hawkins Street at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City.
And Mark, you talked about bowl games being a reward for players and coaches. I promise you, they're only a reward if you win the bowl game.
Jamel Lewis in there. Chandler to a wide open Mo Brown. He was working on Gus Scott. With 7 seconds to go in the third period.
Mark, excellent protection on the play action. This route takes a long time to develop. As you're going to see the outside receiver clear, and then Mo Brown starts down the sideline and comes back to the football on a trail route. This takes a long time, and you see him come back to the football. Gus Scott continued upfield. But because of the running game, they ran it on a running down. Mark, a lot of time for that route to develop.
On that 20-yard pickup, sets up 1st and 10 from the 24. Jamel Lewis. Lewis with some hard running down to the 17. Tackled by Matt Ferrier, and that is the last play of the third period. Out of the Big Ten, the Iowa Hawkeyes leading by 24. So far, you can color this day black and yellow. Russell and the special teams doing it. Back for the fourth after this. A couple of boats here in Tampa Bay. Back at the Outback Bowl, and this is an area that was popular among pirates, Bob, back in the mid-1500s. Many pirates coming to this area to seek treasures. Right now it's Iowa looking for their pot of gold. 2nd and 5. Oh, what a move by Lewis. Put the brakes on. He got about 4 yards on that run down to the 16-yard line, eluding the contact right when he got the handoff.
Mark, young football teams like Florida, their confidence level so fragile. Even though they have a bunch of gifted, highly recruited athletes, and that offensive pass interference just broke their back. But prior to that, a lot of mistakes in this football game for Florida, and give Iowa credit. They came in here focused. They've come in here physical. Now all they need to do is finish this thing off and put an exclamation point on it.
Bob looking at a 3rd down and 3.
It's like Florida's going to blitz them, Mark. They're going to get man-to-man coverage right here.
Got a flag on the field.
Dead ball. Delay of game. 5 yards. Offense. 3rd down.
Time running out on Nathan Chandler. Be 3rd down and about 8 to go now. Ball moved back to the 22-yard line.
Mark, this Florida defense, 6 defensive touchdowns this year. 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles, 30 takeaways, #1 in the SEC. Iowa's done an excellent job of protecting the football against a takeaway style defense.
3rd and 8, they have to get to the 13-yard line for the 1st down. Inside option dropped, and that's an incomplete pass to Jamel Lewis. So it is special K time. Nate Kading coming in to attempt his 3rd field goal of the afternoon. He's already made 2 from 47 and 32 yards out. 19 of 20 on the season. A Lou Groza candidate for most of the season. One of the finalists.
Mark, and a remarkable athlete. A 3-sport player in high school. Went to high school right there in Iowa City. In fact, I think a part of 3 state championship teams in different sports.
This one from 38. Money. Nate Kading gives the Hawkeyes a 37-10 lead, and we have a timeout. But first, downstairs to Holly. What's coming up?
Hey guys, he left a year early to go to the NFL, but Florida great Rex Grossman is here. We'll talk to him after the break.
This was part of the scene pre-game, the flyby by the Harrier Jets. Members of our armed forces on hand here today, and Captain, wonderful people on hand being honored. Veterans, Jaden Kim, Bernice Armour, Bernie Russell, and Corporal David Hickson, who fought with Tampa's own 4th Assault Group. And much love going out to those protecting our interests in the armed forces, both abroad and domestically. Jackson on the return, Chad Jackson. And he is struck down at the 27-yard line. And Holly Rose standing by with a special Gator guest.
I'm here with Florida's quarterback, Rex Grossman, from the last 2 seasons. Rex, you came out early, which is a bit of a gamble, but how has it been to earn a starting job in the NFL?
It was fun. You know, after we were out of the playoff picture, I got a chance to start the last couple of games to get my feet wet, and it was just fun to get out there and get a couple of wins.
You've had some chance to start as a young quarterback for Florida. What do you think is happening with Chris Leak right now? What's going through his mind?
Well, he just, you know, hopefully we can get some points on the board, but this game isn't really going to matter to him and his career. He's going to be a great quarterback. He's real composed, throws an accurate ball, and, you know, hopefully he can make the score a little prettier here in the 4th quarter, but really in the whole thick of things, this really is no big deal for him.
It's not going to break him?
No, not at all.
What's it like to see Florida running this no huddle?
We ran it some last year, and it kind of throws defenses off a little bit, but, you know, it's another way of doing things that they like, so, you know, we'll see.
And last question, you just lost your coach, Dick Duran. What's the word on the new coaching staff?
I have no idea. Our general manager handles that, and I just hope he picks a good one.
All right, thanks very much, and congratulations.
I want to say real quick to my friend Ben and Brad waiting for me right after this. I'll come get you.
Hey, Rex.
We are not a messaging service, Rex.
Come on now. He doesn't have a two-way?
He said his cell phone's not working in here, so he needed to get that message out.
Mark, but I think Rex Grossman brings up a really good point. Young quarterbacks and young players, they worry about themselves and their performance. He said it. Chris Leak doesn't have as much invested in this program yet as some older guys do. Particularly like a Nathan Chandler or a Fred Russell from Iowa, guys that have been around 4 or 5 years. When you're young, you worry about your performance. When you're old, you worry about the team's performance and winning. So as he goes on, it'll become much more important to him about the overall productivity of this football team.
Certainly has a great future, Bob. We are here at the Outback Bowl, the 18th chapter of it overall. Number 12, Iowa against Florida. Right now, Iowa in control. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe down to the field. And Florida in the hole right now, a big one. Leak falling down at the 43-yard line with 12:51 to go. Jared Klaus there to bring him down.
And Ed Zonbrecker, Florida's offensive coordinator, Mark, you mentioned he's been around some big-time quarterbacks. Rex Grossman, Chad Pennington, Sean Leftwich at Marshall, Tommy Hodson at LSU. He said Chris Leak has it all. And as you mentioned, particularly the work ethic.
Led his high school team to 46 consecutive wins. You saw that graphic moments ago. The SEC winning by a 2-1 margin over the Big Ten, head-to-head, down deep. And intercepted at the 12-yard line by Javon Johnson. The team leader in interceptions. It was intended for Carlos Perez. But Leak coming up a little bit short on that one.
And right there, they go to the deep post route at the top up here to Carlos Perez. Javon Johnson right here, Mark, a great job of looking back as if he was the receiver. Poorly thrown ball, he goes up and makes the play. If you're Chris Leak, throw that football a little more to the outside or a little deeper, Mark. But Javon Johnson in his comfort zone the whole way because he was in great coverage relationship. Looked back to the football, made the interception.
His 6th interception of the season, 10th career. First down and 10 for the Hawkeyes. Russell wrapped up at the 14-yard line by Ferrier. Time now for our Outback game track. Iowa has been a monument to domination on both sides of the ball. Offensively and then defensively. bottling up the talented quarterback Chris Leak. And his special teams, they got star 69 call blocking on their phones. Recovery in the end zone by Malloy for the touchdown. And that's the way they started the second half. Johnson with a pick moments ago to give Iowa the ball. Nate Kading, meanwhile, speaking of special teams, with 3 field goals. 2nd and 6. And Russell is bottled up back at the 13 by McDonald and Lee.
Mark, again, why this game obviously so important for Florida and Ron Zook. They started off this season 3-3. They had a remarkable turnaround, winning 5 straight at LSU, at Arkansas. They beat Georgia, but they lost their last game at home against Florida State. And the bottom line, if they finish this season having lost 2 straight games to Florida State and Iowa, you cannot build on this as a successful season. In Iowa, you cannot build on this as a successful season because people will only remember and players will only remember those last 2 games.
3rd down and 8. Chandler completes it to Lewis. Lewis knocked out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Getting back to Ron Zook. You talk about where he is with the program right now in his 2nd year. The one thing that I think won't happen anytime soon, Bob, is I don't think he'll lose the players. He's really a player's coach in the truest sense. He'll get in there in the weight room and throw the bar up and lift weights, bench press with them, and kind of hack it around with them a little bit.
Well, Mark, I'm sure they appreciate that, but you and I both know highly recruited players that are used to having great success, they want to win. And that is the bottom line of keeping the football team. As good a coach as you are, as good a guy as you are, the reality is you better win.
Especially in Gainesville. At the 33. Ratliff. Flag down, and Ratliff down at the 42. A 47-yard punt on the play by Bradley. Iowa looking at perhaps, should they hang on, their 10th win of the season. And back-to-back double-figure win years. This is going to be against the return team in Florida.
And Mark, I think Iowa likes Central Florida and Tampa area a little better than they like Miami. Just comparing last year's Orange Bowl performance to this year's Outback Bowl performance.
That'd be a safe bet right now. Timeout on the field, one of the questions begging with Iowa leading. We'll see if their bowl drought will end. More on that right after this.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the 2004 Outback Bowl. Presented by Outback Steakhouse. No rules, just right. And in part by Jeep. If it's not trail rated, it's not a Jeep 4x4. And by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
A benevolent sky spattering down here on one of the jewels of Florida, Tampa. Here at the Outback Bowl, Iowa leading 37-10. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe on New Year's Day here. It has been all black and yellow. Deshaun Wynn on the handoff, and Wynn is brought down at the 31-yard line by number 31, Matt Roth. Matt Roth is a guy that his own teammates and coaches will tell you might have a bit of a loose wire up top, but he's not the type of guy that you want to rein in too much, Bob. You just got to let him go.
Well, Mark, look at those. I don't think those are decals on his arm right there. I think that's the real thing. But Norm Parker says it best. He says, if you're in a fight, you want Matt Roth on your side. It's that simple.
Chris Leak throwing the out pattern, incomplete to Carlos Perez.
Mark, again, Chris Leak struggles with the outside throws. But let's go back to Kirk Ferentz and his preparation for this bowl game. It started last spring. Holly talked about this. He had every coach on his staff as part of a research project, called different coaches. He set up different plans in the spring depending on what date the bowl game was going to be played. But the biggest thing, he kept his players through Christmas, and they had physical, focused practices.
Leak on 3rd down and long. Good open field tackle at the 32-yard line. And there's an Iowa hat down in the field. I believe it belongs to Hodges.
And Mark, I'm going to make this statement. If Iowa plays in a bowl game next year, those players can forget about going home for Christmas. That's the last time. That Orange Bowl, that was the last time they ever had a chance to go home over Christmas. But how about the credit you have to give to these players? You talk about a long season now. And that's why chemistry is so important on a football team. This football team's been together since August. You better like each other. More importantly, you better respect each other.
4th down and 6, and kind of underscores the fact that there were some senior players on the Florida team that weren't quite ready to give up their positions to some of the junior players and the younger guys on the Gator team, although they did eventually kind of work that out. 8:56 to go in the 4th quarter. We have a timeout on the field after that 44-yard punt. Back with more after this. We have a timeout on the field after that 44-yard punt. Back with more after this. Chris Leak, the freshman quarterback from Florida, has seen better days. 37-10. He will have better days. For Nathan Chandler, conversely, this is his last game for the Iowa Hawkeyes. They've had a string of consecutive senior starting quarterbacks. Chandler, 13 of 24 passing, 170 yards and a touchdown. 1st and 10, Jermel Lewis. And Lewis is out to the 28-yard line. Well, the month of January and bowls has not been kind to the Iowa Hawkeyes. They haven't won one since the Rose Bowl in 1959. If they hang on, they would end that insidious drought. Dwight Eisenhower, by the way, Bob was a president back then.
And Mark, the byproducts of having a successful bowl experience. Go back to that story of Chris Leak calling Kirk Ferentz after watching the Michigan game to set up a visit. There's a bunch of young guys out there across the country that are impressed with this Iowa Hawkeye football team.
2nd down and 5. Schnoor in the ball game at tailback. Nathan Chandler really facilitating that offense today. We talked about ending that Rose Bowl drought, that January Bowl drought. Iowa's last win in January came against Cal in the 59 Rose Bowl. Look at this vintage video, Bob. Bob Jeter ran for 194 yards on 9 carries, including an 81-yard touchdown to win Player of the Game honors. Willie Fleming scored 2 touchdowns for Iowa, 37 and 7 yards each. Iowa beat Cal 38-12.
Mark, that's when ball used to be ball.
Leather helmets?
If that ball was in the middle of the field, all 22 players were inside those hashes. Everything was played in a box.
There's Schnoor. Brought down at the 41. Nice run by him. Got about 5. Good block up front by Robert Gallery, who has, for the most part, neutralized Bobby McCray for most of the day. As for Fred Russell, what a productive afternoon for him.
And Mark, some great seniors on this Iowa football team as we look at Robert Gallery. But how about Bob Sanders, a guy on defense on all special teams that just makes your football team better. Guys like Grant Steen, Freddie Russell, Mo Brown. They've had some great senior leadership, guys that have been through the tough times and now reap the rewards, Mark.
24 seniors in all, Bob, on 2nd down and 4. Another play fake. And Chandler wisely throws it away. Let's go back to Reese Davis in the studio.
SEC and Big Ten are apparently going to be 1-1 on this day. Purdue and Georgia in the Capital One Bowl. David Green, Reggie Brown. Green, Brown beating Purdue black and blue. It's 24-0. Not yet at the half. Same score in the Toyota Gator Bowl with Maryland on top of West Virginia.
That's a proud Purdue defense, Mark. Surprising. That shows you how good Georgia must be to put 24 on them in the first half.
Shocking. 3rd and 4 for Iowa. Nose of the ball at the 42. Nathan Chandler, the transfer out of South Lake, Texas. Sacked back at the 32 by Travis Harris.
And the only thing that hasn't worked today is that shuffle pass for Iowa, Mark. That's the 2nd time on 3rd down we have seen them try to run that play. And speaking of the future, If Iowa gets this football back, I wouldn't be surprised to see Drew Tate, their freshman quarterback and heir apparent to Nathan Chandler, get some playing time.
Yeah, one of the best ever in high school history in the state of Texas. Bradley into punt from his own 20. Ratliff standing on his own 23. The day began inauspiciously for the Gators. They had two players suspended for the first few series of the game, Gus Scott and Kewan Ratliff, for violations of unspecified team rules. Although they have played in the ballgame, sometimes you wonder how much it might have affected Florida defensively. Flags down at the 35.
Mark, again, the point of the longer players are at the line of scrimmage in a ready position. That time, Iowa trying to run down the 25-second clock before they punted that football. The greater chance for error, as you saw the procedure.
False start. Offense, 5 yards, 4th down.
It'll be a nice ride back to Iowa City. All 1,400 miles. 4th down and 17. Hawkeyes making a statement on behalf of the Big Ten Conference. Looking for their second win collectively in the bowl season here. Low snap. Bradley gets off a nice high spiral, driving Ratliff back to the 23. Ratliff brought down to the 33-yard line. A 10-yard return on a 50-yard punt. Timeout on the field. 5:38 to go from Tampa here at the Outback Bowl. We'll be back. Iowa leading 37-10 with 5:38 to go in the 4th quarter here in the 18th edition of the Outback Bowl. I'm Mark Jones along with Iowa leading 37-10 with 5:38 to go in the 4th quarter here in the 18th edition of the Outback Bowl. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe. Fred Russell has had himself quite a day today. 1st down and 10 for the Gators. Jimtavis Walker now in the backfield. Leak. Pass is complete to Jamel Cornelius. Not as much blue and orange in the stands here at the stadium anymore, Bob.
Mark, they get
a lot of black and gold, though.
And I tell you what, these Hawkeye fans going to enjoy every second of this one. They had to go up on this boat or this ship in this end zone here and just put a big old Hawkeye logo on that ship.
Don't give many ideas. 1st and 10. Lee throws a nice dart complete at the 39 to Cornelius once again. 5:24 to go. A look at the pirate ship here at Raymond James Stadium, and what a great facility this is for a bowl game. Bob, at this time, send out a New Year's greetings to my family back home. Leak, complete to the sideline. That one to Dallas Baker. Well, tomorrow at 4:30 Eastern, Clemson facing number 7 Tennessee in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Tigers close out the season by winning their last 3. Clemson, meanwhile, averaged 43 points in the 3 wins. Coverage beginning with College Game Day Bowl special at 3:30 Eastern time. 2nd down and 4 for Chris Leak. The backfield complete. That's Walker again.
Mark, and I go back to this. We had a chance, as I mentioned, to visit practice, and we talked about the contrast between these two teams is remarkable. I mean, you walk off that practice field after watching Florida, and you say, wow, can there be any better athletes anywhere in the country? But it's not just about having all the best athletes, and Iowa has proven that here today. In each situation, there's always a lot of circumstances. And I think you talked about the team meeting Florida had when they were 3-3. And anytime you have new, young talent replacing older players that have waited their turn to play,
right,
that's a volatile situation. And it's fragile. And you go back to the 2 players, Gus Scott, Kewan Ratliff, 2 senior leaders that Ron Zook had to discipline and hold out of this football game. In the end, the senior leadership, maybe not what it should have been for this Florida team.
Pass complete to Small at the 25, and for more on Florida, let's go to Holly Rowe.
Guys, Florida coach Ron Zook told us that people underestimate in this day and age how difficult it is to make a team atmosphere. He said everybody in this day and age is all about me, not we. He said it's very hard to do team building. On the contrasting side for Iowa, Norm Parker, their defensive coordinator, told us, in Iowa, we don't have mountains, oceans, anything. We just have each other. All these kids know how to do is work hard and be together.
That's a good point, Holly. Here's Leak now. One up top for Baker. Touchdown. No offensive pass interference on that one. Dallas Baker, an imposing target out there at about 6'4", 200 pounds plus that 38-inch vertical leap.
And Mark, you have to be impressed. Chris Leak, young enough, he's just going to keep on playing regardless of what the score is. And every snap he takes now is about next year in the future.
And he was 7 of 7 on that drive. And 10 different receivers now have caught passes for the Florida Gators. The extra point is good. It's down to a 20-point lead for the Hawkeyes. So far, though, Florida's been not that effective. We'll be back with more after this. 3:47 to go in the fourth quarter. Iowa comfortably out in front. And our Capital One player of the game is Fred Russell. Ran the ball 21 times for a total of 150 yards and a touchdown. And Iowa right now looking at the onside kick. Got the good hands people up front. Hinkle, Considine, Malloy, who blocked the punt and recovered the loose ball. And Petrovich is a straight-on kicker, something you don't see often in football at any level.
You wonder where he finds shoes to kick now if he still uses that square toe.
Called up Mark Mosley. And it's recovered by the Hawkeyes at the 48-yard line by Merrick. Hey, Reese Davis, tell us what's coming up.
Got a little hoops coming your way, Mark. Andre Emmett leading the Red Raiders in against Minnesota, and you see what Emmett has done to the Golden Gophers of Dan Monson. Of course, Emmett does that to pretty much everybody. Minnesota, Texas Tech. Hoops coming up next.
Hey, what about Minnesota and Chris Humphreys? What an amazing story he is this year. 23 points a game, 24 points a game on 51% shooting, and Minnesota a little bit smarting from that loss against Nebraska. Trying to bounce back. First down and 10. Schnorr with a nice run between the tackles down to the 38-yard line.
And you see Kirk Ferentz right now substituting some younger players so that this Iowa contingent of fans gets a chance to show their appreciation for these Hawkeye older players.
Do these fans travel well or what, Bob? I mean, we have seen them all over the Tampa-St. Pete's area.
This may no longer be the best-kept secret in college football. Iowa, you have to go to Iowa City to see a football game, Mark, to really appreciate these fans and the tradition they have going there.
One of the special places, Kinnick Stadium. Drew Tate now, he's the future quarterback for the Hawkeyes. And he hands it off to A.J. Johnson. There is some hard hitting going on still. Nathan Chandler, a guy who emerged from the shadows this year and did a nice job here this afternoon. We've had our great aerial shots today, courtesy of our friends at Outback Steakhouse, proud sponsor of the Outback Bowl. The Outback Steakhouse airship, the Bloomin' Onion, one provides aerial coverage for sporting events across the country.
Mark and Nathan Chandler, you mentioned the fourth different Iowa quarterback in 4 years. Now he graduates, and the heir apparent Drew Tate is in there. You know what? Someone told him he wasn't going to play. He doesn't have any socks on out there.
Looks like it. Hey, it's warm. From Iowa City. It's A.J. Johnson, the understudy, one of many for Fred Russell, and what a day he's had. 150 yards rushing. Fred Russell went back to the drawing board after last year when he broke down late in the season. Said, I have to take better care of my body. Cut down on the fried foods. No more fried chicken wings. No more French fries at the Field House and at Brothers and at Cito's on the pedestrian mall in Iowa City. It was steamed vegetables and baked chicken. And it's all worked out well for Fred Russell.
Sounds like you're making your bowl resolution right there.
Oh, come on. That's a lot to ask.
Yourself.
That's a lot to ask for me, Bob.
If you and I can't have chicken wings,
maybe we'll end it.
It's one of the small pleasures left, Mark, for us.
A.J. Johnson with another carry.
But it doesn't get any better, Mark, than winning a bowl game. All that hard work, all that sacrifice, staying over Christmas. These guys ought to enjoy every second of this. The next time you see Robert Gallery, he's decided not to play in any postseason All-Star games. He'll be playing in the NFL for someone on Sundays, Mark.
He's seen his draft stock go up quite a bit. We showed you Mel Kiper's big board earlier. He was one of the top 10. 2nd down and 7. With 1:20 to go. Drew Tate now in a quarterback. And Johnson on the handoff down to the 20-yard line. Coming up next on ESPN, college basketball. Minnesota faces Bobby Knight and Texas Tech. Andre Emmett and the gang. Tune into ESPN News for continuing post-game coverage and reaction from today's Outback Bowl. And Bob, I want to wish my family, my wife Sarah, my 3 kids, and mom and dad back home in Miami. Happy New Year, and yourself.
I'd like to do the same thing. My
and
wife Joanne and my daughter Audra. And let me say this. I didn't realize when I first got into this how much work is involved by people other than us to put this show on. I mean, our camera guys, our stats guys, our production guys. I mean, it really is like a football team. And sometimes you only see the finished product, but there's a bunch of people behind the scenes that make that happen.
That's true for sure. Our producer, Bo Garrett, and our director, Bruce Troy, our statman, Steve LeBeau, and Seth Jacobson, our spotter, Holly Rowe. Holly, I know you can hear us. Happy New Year to you, too. She got a suntan during her trip.
She's going to enjoy every second of this before she goes back to Salt Lake City. And, Mark, what are we going to do without football now?
What's that?
What are we going to do without football? It's kind of a withdrawal syndrome. I saw you going on to that basketball right there quickly talking about Minnesota now.
I'm a chameleon, man. Got to change my colors real quick. 4th down and 6, but the color of the day has been gold and black. The Iowa Hawkeyes going to finish up the year 10-3 overall. And winners here in the Outback Bowl. Another hard run down to the 13-yard line. Kirk Ferentz with back-to-back double-digit win seasons. He turned it around 5 years ago. 1-10, followed by 3-9, then 7-5, 11-2 a season ago, and now 10-3. He is one of the hot properties in college football coaching.
And Mark, you see, it really is a business-like deal. Not a whole lot of Gatorade splashes or anything like that. This football team came down here focused and one agenda, and that was to win a football game. And congratulations to Iowa. They put on a clinic today.
Florida Gators will be back. They have a talented young crew. But for Ron Zook, it's going to be about 5 months of agonizing until they start spring ball.
And if you're Ron Zook, you want spring practice to start tomorrow so that there's some positive on which to build.
Final score 37-17. So the Big Ten notches its 2nd win of the bowl season to improve to 2-3 overall. Purdue taking on Georgia right now, hoping to perhaps even it at 3 apiece. And Michigan plays in the Rose Bowl against USC. Final thoughts, Bob? Real quick.
Mark, Iowa, other than giving up the one play-action pass, a statement game, not only for this year, but for their program. Florida has to rebound.
Well, coming up next, college basketball. Minnesota taking on Texas Tech. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Bob Davey, Holly Rowe, and the rest of our talented ESPN crew, have a happy New Year. So long, everybody, from Tampa.